If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear.
Hello and welcome to the Loud Crowd Podcast, episode number 57. On this week's podcast, we have a very special guest. So bear with me till I get this introduction okay. So we have former Quay Celtic, Glasgow Celtic, Dundalk and Shelbourne United player, as well as being former Quay Celtic, Warrenpoint, Dundalk Academy, Shelbourne Academy, Shelbourne Under-19, Glenavon manager, and now founder of the Northeast Football School, Stevie McDonnell, or as a few of us guys know him as Stevie Mack. Who needs Fleetwood Mac? So, Stevie, good to have you on, pal. How you keeping?
All good, thanks for having me, lads.
I didn't think he was going to stop with the clubs there.
57 attempts for the 57th episode. He got there in the end.
You know what I mean, Sam? We have him sitting here since 2 o'clock today, so he did it.
Yeah, sun's just gone down.
Good view though, isn't it, Sam?
Unbelievable scenes here.
Yeah. So
Eddie needs to make a bang out of this.
He definitely does. But yeah, good to have you on, Stevie. So as I say, I know you a wee bit from your time managing me, screaming and shouting at me. So CC or Combe Dog, as we know here, is looking to get to know you a wee bit better. You liked what he's seen over the past 6 weeks, so we'll let him take it off.
Yeah, look, as I said, I've only got to know you over the last 6 weeks through.
What's your top five, Sam?
Before that, like last season when I was coming down to the Quay dressing rooms, I opened the door and I think there was like a framed photo of you in a newspaper or something like that when you had big long curly hair, and I was like, who the fuck's that?
Rod Stewart.
Yeah, but anyways, for including myself and anyone that don't really know, like, do you want to take us back to basically where it all started from a footballing career?
Yeah, geez. Quay Celtic was the first kind of initial stage of or introductory stage of football for me. Obviously, my mum is from St. Joseph's Park, top end of the Quay, and albeit we moved away and lived in Cox's and away from the Quay. The brother played for Rangers for a short period, and that didn't go too well. It didn't help that he wasn't overly good at football. So obviously Sean Kieran's, Lord rest him, was the man who I suppose pulled me back down to my mother's roots, and the rest is history, I suppose, in relation to that. But that was the first initial stage for me, when Clancy Park hadn't got the club room it has today, the artificial surface it has today.
That's what
even as much as the nets along the side. It was just a big field, and Scaldy was the first coach I had, him and Paul Black.
Who's Scaldy, Sam? Sorry.
That's what they call Sean Scaldy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Scaldy's his nickname.
Oh, right.
So they were the two that gave me my very, very, very early introductory, and Cal Mulholland as well. Cal lived right across on the pitch. He would have owned the Stag's Head pub.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the late Stag's Head. So
Caught you in there one night, did he? Got you down.
I would have been in there many a night, yeah. But they would have been my kind of early stages. Quay Celtic, and I suppose from there then obviously you had other coaches like Rodney Meehan and Andy Connolly. I had them for
them too.
A good period,
in the back of the van.
We used to train out in Karen Begg.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, when there was a lack of facilities, lights and everything.
Andy Connolly's actually back with the Keys, managing under 13s.
I seen that just coming down here this evening. I seen him on the grass with the kids. Great to see, full circle, like, you know. You're talking fucking 20 years ago here now, like, and even more. But back at van, you wouldn't get away with that now. Fast fix van out the road to Karen Begg to train.
You got pulled over.
But here,
Why not get in trouble?
They're some of the best experiences you have. Like,
yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, I can remember as if it was yesterday. And then obviously we had like Buster, a huge influence as well. Buster was real football man, really, really knowledgeable, and Bagger. So
who's Bagger?
Bagger, you have to know Bagger.
See, remember when I was young, I trained with you.
He's not drinking Clark's, no.
The odd time.
Close.
Bagger there, the odd time, no. But so they would have been kind of the majority of the coaches that would have, and Noel Doyle, geez, I can't forget Noel.
Yeah.
Noel had a huge influence as well. Noel had us for a good few years as well. So
still though.
Yeah, so there's a lot of lads that coach us are still there, or like Andy are coming back. No, that was kind of me first
And when you were playing, like,
Introductory.
when you were playing, was there kind of any, was it just football, or were you getting pulled from this Gaelic side as well, or was it?
My old fella wouldn't like Gaelic in our house.
Yeah, 'cause usually
Come
it's,
on.
if you're good at both, the Gaelic
Yeah.
kind of tends to pull you, but like,
yeah, I was handy with Gaelic with the school, but I was never really that interested.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest,
It's not as technical as that.
football's football.
Yeah,
Gaelic football,
yeah.
you get to use your hands. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I'd
probably
say that's
a little
that
too
was
easy.
that's a rare decision, that for you to just play football like years ago, that everyone was like, oh, we're not going to do manies and all that kind of stuff. You
Yeah,
definitely
you
got-
could have been easy drag. Like, I had my cousin Red there would be probably one of my best friends as well, and Carol O'Connor and all. They were all clansmen, so trying to pull you in, but
Yeah,
just never
yeah.
really interested me.
Yeah.
You get to play football with your hands. You may as well be a goalkeeper. And that's
I was going.
that's how I
That
would
comment-
see it.
Cheers.
yeah,
That's how I would see
yeah.
it, Pork. To be honest.
Keepers Union.
yeah,
15 goalkeepers pucking the ball away.
Yeah, it's just it wasn't that attractive, and for me, still isn't that attractive. The fact they're having to make rules up in 2025
yeah,
to make the
rules
game
just-
watchable,
it says it all. Yeah,
says it all. That
Really
might be a
does.
little
Love that,
controversial, but
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
and
Love to get Deg and Jod we chat with Sam here
Oh,
to
yeah.
see their opinion.
Yeah.
Yes,
Dean Maguire was here. I'd
Yeah.
say you'd have a
Dino, what a man.
Yeah.
couple questions to answer for Sam.
And even
Yeah.
when you were playing, like growing up, was there any kind of footballer that you kind of styled your play around or tried to replicate?
Not really. Well, when I say not really, like, I suppose Dundalk FC would have had a huge influence. First division at the time, Thursday night football. My father used to bring me up all the time, like, and
Because the players back then.
well, like you were looking at the likes of John Flanagan, David Ward,
Ward, yeah.
Gary Haylock one. Or
Paul
was he
Curran centre back, Gary Haylock,
Gary
yeah,
Haylock,
scored
yeah.
a double. Never forget that one.
What
Yeah.
The
a
FAI
what a
Cup
player.
double
FAI
the
Cup
year we got
final.
relegated.
What a player.
Yeah, and like I say, even right down to the local lads playing then, like, they all would have had some sort of input and influence. Like, I used to love going up, watching the dog, and then going down, playing with Quay. You play a year up as well, so
Yeah.
that was kind of your whole weekend consumed in football.
And did you religiously go to Oriel, Sam? Like,
Oh
all-
yeah, as a
all-
kid,
yeah.
absolutely. Right up until I went to Celtic.
You should take notes.
What?
Religiously going to Oriel, you should take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bit late now at this stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, used to always go, followed them everywhere. As I say, right up until I went to Celtic at 16, Dundalk was very much a centrepiece of the week, going to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of Sam, see when you were obviously keyed out playing up, was it up until under 14s, 15ish, or like did you have contacts within Dublin, or what way did that kind of work? Did you ever play up there before you went?
No, I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough in the sense that I had agreed to sign for Celtic at 14, which is 2 years prior to legally you can go.
yeah.
Obviously for child protection concerns and reasons. That's why it was 16 at the time. So I kind of had that from 14 that they wanted to sign me. So that meant I didn't have to go to Dublin.
Yeah.
Again, if I hadn't been signed with Celtic or anything on the table, I potentially would have went to Dublin.
Yeah,
and
played.
like that. Like when you're an underage international and you're going on multiple trials, it's easy enough to get into Dublin.
Yeah.
There's a demand there. So there was a couple of options, but to be honest, I was just enjoying playing with mates,
Yeah.
going to school then on a Monday and slag off a few of the
Bragging
lads that
rights.
played with whoever,
Yeah.
so
Charlie.
I didn't, yeah. Well, I wouldn't, not that much, but
bit of crack.
definitely a bit of banter. And for me, I probably at that stage wasn't ready to be overly intense about football. I was enjoying it; it was brilliant. I was getting everything I needed here. As I say, with the Quay Celtic coming through, and then you had the emerging talent program where you had Tom Mohan, John White, Mick Neville, who, from a serious side of football, that was my first serious introduction to. Right, these guys are FAI coaches. They're working within the system.
All the standards of training and how they played and stuff. Was
Everything, yeah. And the beauty of that program was it was my age and the age above. We were kind of, if you want to call it, pigeonholed together. And the training group was really, really good. Like you had talented boys in our age group, and then you had really talented boys in the older age group, and you were getting to work with them coaches. As I said, the three lads, and I think Martin Connolly was the goalkeeping coach. So, it was really, really qualified people. And as I said, the Quay, brilliant, class, going on trials, getting to see all these different environments. But this program was put in every Monday, which is brilliant. You were getting repetition of high level coaching, and it opens up every possibility, because they're the kind of centre of excellence where the national team managers go and speak to them, go and speak to the staff, and obviously who's standing out, etc., etc. And then obviously it comes to a stage when you're 14, then where you do a period of assessments to get into potentially the first national squad, which is usually U15.
Sorry, Sam, is that how Celtic came about, from the emerging talent?
No, a fella, late Jerry Reddy, Celtic scout, he only passed away recently. Top class man, who opened the door to me, but became a lifelong friend up until his passing. Jerry actually scouted me at 12 years of age, playing for the Quay in I think
I heard that.
Yeah, it was an underage National Cup game up in, it was in Dublin, Darndale. Yeah, we played Darndale in the National Cup game, and Jerry had caught a wee bit of knowledge about me and everything else. So he'd been watching me for 6-7 months without even introducing himself to my parents. So he'd been doing his homework quietly, and obviously with the Emerging Talent Programme, again, I had a good application to train. All I wanted to do was be a footballer. Whether it was good enough or not was another thing. But the coaches took a shine to me. I got to lead that group in the Emerging Talent. You'd play other centres around the country, like on, for example, your Easter holidays, you'd go and you'd play Donegal in the challenge match or wherever the other centres were. I think there was 6 at the time.
Were you going up to tournaments like Sam? Because when I was in it, like we would have went to them, Kennedy Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was very much with the Emerging
friendly-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the Emerging Talent Programme, it was an opportunity for the FAI to see who,
from each,
for their selection in terms of what we have on the island of Ireland. From there, that's probably where I started to get a wee bit more notice. And then, as I said, you're getting into that period where you're starting to compete potentially to get into the first national team squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with the Schoolboys League, obviously Kevin Cotter and Conor Waring, they were my coaches the whole way through. Yeah. We had a really, really talented squads. We would have went to the Kennedy Cup down in Limerick, which is an unbelievable, still to this day, one of the best experiences I've had in football. Yeah. And I've had my fair share. That there for me is still top 3. And even when I went back a few years ago, I would have had young Thomas Daly. I would have had his team. I took them to the Kennedy Cup. So when I went back down to the Kennedy Cup, it was like reliving my years. It was unbelievable. Cool. So that for me was one of the best tournaments. But like that's the hotbed of, well, it was. It unfortunately is no longer with the whole you can't move till you're 18. But then that was the hotbed, and then from there's where you get a lot of your traction as well. Like
because see the way you're explaining there, like you're kind of explaining as if you played with like Dundalk schoolboys, and then this emerging talent was different. But see, when I came through, like it was the one thing. But I think they've got rid of the emerging talent now as well. So it wasn't like that for you. That was more like
two separate things.
Right, okay.
There were 2 separate things.
They replaced the schoolboys for us with that emerging talent. I'm pretty sure.
Now
they got rid of it.
Yeah, the whole dynamic has changed even now, because you've got the National League. So National League, if you're in Dundalk, there's no need. If you're in playing for Dundalk underage as a kid, well, that's good enough in terms of the national pool of players, the high-end players, if you want to call it that. But back then, there was no National League. The highest representation was Schoolboys League. So it was your Kennedy Cups, your Milk Cups. They were or your Galway Cups. They were the tournaments to ultimately kind of showcase your talent. So the Emerging Talent Programme, there was X amount of centres. I think there was 6 centres, as I said earlier, around the country. So like I remember, like Mick Rafter, one of the lads who was in the national squad. Mick was from Tip. The closest one to him was Waterford, so he would have had to travel to Waterford. So wherever these centres were, it wasn't logistically good for everybody. But like ours was Oriel Park, so it was deadly for me. But like Aaron McCary and all the lads, Jack McCarron and Philly Donnelly, all the boys from Monaghan had to travel from Monaghan across, which back then the roads weren't as good. You're talking at least an hour clip, like So it's wherever the centres were. So these centres, I think it was from U12. So I had a good 3-4 years of developing. So these were the centres in place, and it was only then kind of U12, U13, I think was the Kennedy Cup. So they ran separate entities basically. So I had that on the Monday. Say you had Quay Celtic one night a week. You had the schoolboys one night a week. So you were getting your 3 contacts, but it was 3
different squads.
Very, very different inputs. You know?
Absolutely.
You take what you want from each, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
the
that's
joy
it.
of
Like, yeah, and that was the beauty of it. Where you look now, if you're a young player coming through now,
it's one way
most
the whole way.
National League teams in the country are training 3 nights a week. So that's it.
Yeah.
You're getting one input.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but certainly my experience, I would say, Jesus,
Better.
brilliant, because
At the time, probably was the best you could have got. Like,
yeah, like
playing 3 different things, and as you said, there's only one now with Dundalk. They train 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
Whereas back then, nobody was probably doing that, bar only a handful of players.
and the thing is, I look at it now with my coaching hat on, like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm retired a long time, so it's like back then I had Tom Owen, Mick Neville, John White, Martin Connolly on a Monday night, unbelievable. Tuesday night then I go to Kevin Cotter, Conor Waring, completely different experience, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then I come down and I train with Noel Doyle or whoever the case may be, and a completely different experience and different levels at each one. So the demands were different for me as a player
Yeah.
in every session, and it was such a variety.
Yeah.
Where now, for example, you could have one coach.
Taught the player by one.
It's up to the player whether to think, is this coach good enough or bad enough? And you'll only
Yeah.
speak about that upon experience in years to come, but you have that one coach for 3 nights.
Yeah.
Where I think it's more beneficial to have probably a broader
No,
broader range of coaches involved in your development,
Yeah.
which is something I got personally, and
Does
obviously didn't
depend
do
on
me
the
any.
player, though. It's just depends. You know, where some
Absolutely.
people be comfortable, like some I know talk about, I know Messi or something, one
Yeah.
system the whole way nearly. Like I know it's slightly different at that level, but like you could have that, and then you've Ronaldo moves around different clubs, succeeds. Maybe that's better for him as a person, you know.
Yeah, and that probably comes down to the individual, the
Yeah.
uniqueness of the individual.
Yeah.
But for me, I thought, Jesus,
No, I'd agree with
early days, that was a nice little kind of mix-up, you know. There was plenty going on, plenty of different people having an impact.
Player attitude has to be a big thing as well. Like if you're, as you said, you're playing out of the 3 nights, you're doing 2 that are a standard above the key, and then you're coming down on your last night of training of the week with the key. It's easy for you to go, I can take the foot off. I'm not saying like you obviously didn't, like, but no, some players could be like, I can take the foot off a wee bit here. Training probably won't be as good. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a big testament to, as in saying, like, you know, giving 100% no matter who's coaching it, every training session, no matter what the quality is, always enjoying it, always giving 100%. Like, it's not as I said, you'll see a lot of players that would easily come down off going, I'm going down to the key now, the hard training's done.
Stress of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You would get that.
That's more
you know?
so arrogance than anything
That
else, I think,
arrogance,
as a player.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would have been, as I said, cut from a different cloth. I loved being on the pitch.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where, as long as there was a ball and goals, jumpers, as I say, early years was jumpers.
Yeah.
That wasn't the mindset. Like, and at the time we had an okay key team, and we started to do well, and anything I'd learned, like, you know, for example, you're up on a Monday night and you're working on rotations to receive the ball to switch the play. I'd be coming down on a Wednesday night saying to Red McDonnell and the lads, right lads, switch the play, you know.
Yeah.
So you were trying to bring a better standard to the
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
and we ended up in actually a very good team then in the end, like, you know, doing,
Yeah, I remember
considering
being
we had Monaghan were the strongest competitor. We ended up signing a few little decent players from around the town, and we had a decent side in the end, considering Monaghan had the whole county selection.
Yeah, we played against that a few times. But
You know.
see, do I remember? Did you just play Monaghan in like a quarter-final or semi-final of a national cup or something? Is that how, or something very close?
Well, obviously they would have been in the leagues and the cups here
Yeah,
locally.
But did they or you get very close to the national cup?
We got to the last 16. We actually played Salt Hill, Devon.
Oh, was that what
That
it
was the furthest we went.
Was that away?
That was away over there, and Daryl Horgan was playing for Salt Hill.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl was
Oh,
playing, and I actually scored an own goal that day from a corner kick.
Ah, you're only messing.
That's why.
But anyway,
That's why he wasn't able to remember it.
Yeah,
But,
blocked it out.
Yeah, that was the furthest we got with that team, which was deep, considering at the time all your Dublin clubs, Kevin's,
Yeah.
Belvos,
Yeah.
Cherry Orchards, they were huge at the
Huge,
time. So
yeah.
for us to get that far was I
Achievement.
wouldn't say history. It's a wee bit of, at that time when there was no National League, it was
A big,
it
Unheard
was
of
a
it,
big
that.
step.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a big step. But but Monaghan were the team to try and crack then. But we give them good games. We had a good side. But like getting back to what I was always trying to bring my experiences back to the lads, in terms of trying to have an impact on the game. And I always felt if I trained and played better, you would
Yeah,
draw
well.
the best out of others, and that was always my mentality, you know. Because I say we had a good team with good players, like, you know.
And going from that, like as you said, you mentioned Celtic from such a young age. 14 years old, which is like mental.
Like
When
big
you
stuff there, isn't it?
mental when you hear about it, like when it's
Yeah.
going such a young age. Surely, like, what were the kind of obstacles going over, or the challenges, let's say, heading over, being such a
Yeah.
young age?
Well,
Looking back on it now.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but look, for me, I was well kind of programmed at that stage in terms of going into these clubs and
Yeah.
going into, a change room full of other young players
Yeah.
who are clearly recognise that you're a paddy coming across trying to get a contract, and that's the reality of the situation. Like I was lucky enough, even before I went on my first Celtic trial, I had multiple trials at Man United and Reading and Aston Villa.
Jesus.
And getting over that initial, anxiety, was that the word you'd want to say? But that
Yeah.
initial
Yeah, but-
nervousness of
yeah.
rocking into Bodymore, Heat and Villa, going, right, okay, this is not Clancy Park, or this
Yeah.
is an Oriel Park. It was unusual, but like within a day, that's gone. That feeling's gone.
Yeah.
And the more times you do that, whether it's Carrington or whether it's,
You realise
you
it's
know,
just a football pitch.
it's just another football. It's
Yeah.
another football pitch, and I'm as good as any of these. And
Yeah.
I'm here to show why.
Why,
So
yeah.
by the time I actually went to Celtic, as I say, I was well seasoned in that regards. And as I said, even with the first national team selection, which was U15 under Vinnie Butler, we had to go through a 10-week assessment period every Sunday. You're going into the lines then, all the dubs, you're a
Jesus.
culty
Yeah.
from the dock. But again, my mentality was, I'm as good, if not better than you, and I'm here to get in the national squad. And you break all them little boundaries. So
Yeah.
the time I actually went to Celtic, I ended up going with two other lads who would have been, but they were from Dublin, who would have been coming through the whole assessment period with the FEI to get into the first national
Yeah,
team squad.
yeah.
So you built a little bit of a bond. So I went there, couple of clubs under my belt. That period with the FEI under my belt,
Yeah.
getting picked for the
Good
first
experience.
national team, double header against Holland. So I had all that under my belt before going
Over.
to Celtic. So
Yeah.
I went there, and it was, honest, hands down, it was the best trial that I done out of all the clubs I had been
Yeah.
on trial with. And it was 2 days in, and they lay Tommy Burns, who would have been obviously legend at the club, player, manager, first team coach,
Yeah.
academy manager. He held every role at the football club. He offered me a contract 48 hours into my trial.
Wow.
We trained on the Monday. I actually only done a half a session. It was on the Astro at the time, and I got a bit of Astro in my eye, and it flared up. So I couldn't train for the second half of the day. So I felt like, that rocked the boat a bit.
Chance gone. You kind of.
The next day then, it was Tuesday evening, there was a friendly youth 17, so 3-4 years up at the time, and I had an absolute worldie, an absolute worldie of a game. And straight away, like, he grabbed me in a headlock after the game. It was like, and within that then, I think Celtic were playing Rangers that weekend, flew me mum and dad over, put them up in a hotel, got top
No
class
way.
seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was only meant to be there, like, kind of flew in Sunday,
Yeah.
fly back Friday,
Bam, old
ended
firm
up there
tickets.
for the whole week, like.
Yeah.
So
What age is that, Stevie? 16?
yeah,
is it?
but 14 and a half.
Oh, this is 14
14
still.
and a half, so it was very early on. So I didn't sign in that moment.
Right, okay.
That's mental.
But at that stage, when you feel love, you
Yeah,
feel straight
you
away
know.
you've got,
yeah.
right, okay, that's there. I really like that. I like the thought of it. At the time, there was a lot of Irish lads there, so it felt
Yeah, home.
this could be an unbelievable
decision.
opportunity. But we didn't jump, because at that stage, I was getting ready for the Milk Cup. I'd just been selected for the double header.
Yeah.
Irish game against Holland. There's endless opportunities. I ended up going on 1 or 2 more trials. But then it was a matter of, right, okay,
Yeah.
I've had all them
I've
experiences.
had it long enough.
You
Yeah.
have to pick.
Word gets out, like Celtic have offered have offered a contract. Aston Villa came in the last minute to try and
Yeah.
kind of double down on that as
Yeah.
well. But I just opted to make my decision. So I made my decision about 6 months after that first trial, and from that period then the pre-agreement was agreed, and just literally every school break. I was barely in school for third year, to be honest. With international football trips,
Yeah.
going over
Heading
and back
over.
to Celtic every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We always tried to get it in, on school holidays best we could. But yeah, at that stage we'd made the decision to agree to pre-contract, and until I was 16, He was over and back on the regular just to get used to
Get
everything,
used to
you
it,
know.
And see, Sam, the way you're obviously speaking about, like, you went on trial with the likes of United, Villa, whoever. Like, you were saying kind of at 14, it's it's a wee bit unheard of someone to get trials because it's 16 when they signed the contract. Were you just going over, or were them clubs like reaching out asking you to come over?
Them clubs would have been filing at the time.
And where would they have seen you, like same spot, or
Yeah,
maybe heard word you're at Celtic or something?
Yeah,
or?
well, like they would have obviously Irish scouts on the ground here.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much now.
It's
but
changed,
they would have Irish scouts on the ground, so they would have been at
Them national
schoolboy
champions.
league games.
Yeah.
They would have been at even some of the key games. Then obviously the international, like the international double header home to Holland, was played in home farm under the lights the first night. 3,000, 15 years of age, going like wow. So they'd be at them games.
What was that in, Sam? Just to go back to that double header, was that just
that was just
grip
like
or?
your first that's your first introduction. Like, so even if you look now, any
That's the first
under
squad
15,
named, is
it's
it?
the very first squad, the entry
And
point.
Right, okay.
The entry point
right.
of international football is usually a double header,
Yeah.
and that year is just all about double header friendly. So you
Okay,
might go to Turkey,
and-
play 2 games. So that year is really a free shot, and then the following year it's a bit more serious. You're starting getting into like
Good.
championship
team.
age, European championship age groups and
And
stuff.
anyone from the Holland team that stood out?
No names, like there's no like off the top of my head.
Just wondering, was there a
Wesley Snyder's
Yeah.
brother, but I don't know if he's
Oh, yeah.
gone on and had
what was he called? Leslie Snyder.
a big career. There was him, but like in our Ireland team, we had some players. We John Egan, centre back. We had Shane Duffy, centre back. We had Jeff Hendrick.
Yeah.
What was
We had
seniors like?
Robbie Brady.
Yeah, still
Still
balling.
going.
Still balling. Got man of the match last week.
Who else did we have? I'm trying to think. Matt Doherty.
Yeah.
Still balling.
Probably missing a few here.
Jesus, there's
But
a fair few.
You've
of them in there,
named
like,
enough to know that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, high level. At the time, we didn't think we were high level. We didn't really do anything as an age group, to be fair. But
Was Shane Duffy still 6'6"?
he was a monster. He was always a
Him and
monster.
Egan would have been a good 2
Oh,
underage.
like,
the two
and
of
then
them
we
would
had,
have
like,
been
you wouldn't win a
massive.
header all
We had
game.
other players like Joe Shaughnessy, who's still playing SPL. We Anthony O'Connor, centre back, still playing SPL. Yeah, like we had some
really
side.
good group, yeah.
Incredible. So yeah, we had a really, really strong group. But that Dutch side, yeah, like off the top of my head, I think we drew and beat them. So and there's no real names of any significance that I was like, oh.
Yeah, I remember.
I played where a year later we opened up Listowel Celtic's pitch. Under 16, and we played Germany in a double header, and Mario Götze played that
Oh,
day.
yeah.
No way.
And you knew he was going to be
Yeah.
star quality, and
Yeah.
they beat us in the double header friendly. So he would have been one of the.
And he was that good, yeah.
He was class then, like he was class.
Number
and
10, yeah.
I think we played under 18s double header in Morton Stadium then against Ukraine, and they had the lad that was linked with Liverpool many years ago, Konoplyanka.
Yeah.
Went up
He
Bianchi,
ended up in
yeah,
Sevilla,
yeah.
I think.
Sevilla,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sevilla,
so there would have been some names just off the top of my head that we would have kind of come up against, back then. Like,
Anyone in the Celtic team you were in?
who went on and done something? There was
Yeah.
loads of players.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. Loads of players.
Loads of players, but the
absolutely,
two that went on that are absolute club legends, Jamesy Forrest,
Yeah.
he's a year older, and Callum McGregor. They're the two that obviously,
Two staunch
stand
Celtic
up.
men.
that are still very relevant to this day. But
Yeah.
there was a number of really good players who, like Simon Ferry, had a short period and then he went down south to Swindon. Paul Caddis, right back.
Simon Ferry, is that your man with the podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Paul Slane.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
all would have been at Celtic at the time that
that's
we
good
were
one.
there. So some really, really talented players who probably haven't gone on and have the decorated career of maybe a Callum McGregor and James
Yeah.
Forrest, but still had a very good career and massively successful. But they were the two, as I would call, poster boys. They were the
Yeah.
two poster
Poster boys,
boys.
yeah.
Still are.
Yeah, still lifting trophies. I think. Well, James, he's a one club man. Like he's
Yeah,
the
he's-
most decorated
yeah.
player, I think. In
Celtic history, yeah.
I would even
That's
say
great
the whole
achievement.
of UK.
Yeah.
mental.
Like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
probably nobody who's won the trophies
Yeah,
he
man,
won.
yeah.
Like,
Sure,
he's
they win
winning
about-
trophies every year.
Yeah, 2 or 3
yeah.
They
every
don't do
year.
it like
For
clubs don't
his
do
whole
that.
career.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that while Rangers went belly up and come back. Like
Yeah.
so, Yeah, so like I think he's one of the most decorated players in world football. Like.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that as well, Sam, the few you named that, because when we spoke to, obviously, Jimmy Dunn, he got his Ireland cap the other night, we had him on the podcast, he was saying like when he went to the likes of United and all, like players, he said we have never made it past trials, and he was like some like absolutely supremely talented players. It just shows you mentality has to get you somewhere, you know.
Yeah, it does, like, you know, and then there's lads who are not ready for that moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
become ready then, like, you know, 'cause I said, like, I referenced Darryl Horgan there earlier. Like, look at the career he's gone on and had.
Baller.
He wasn't getting, like, Darryl won't mind me saying this, he wasn't getting picked regularly
Hmm.
in the national team at the time, but he
Kept
he
his head
literally
down.
grafted out
Yeah,
a League of
kept his head
Ireland
down.
career. Like started with Salt Hill. I think he went to Sligo.
Hmm.
Didn't really feature Sligo. Went to Cork. Had an unbelievable season at Cork. Got the move here while
Yeah.
Dundalk were on the build. And the rest is history.
That's
Yeah.
history, yeah.
Went to the UK. Played for Wickham, Hibs.
Yeah.
Who else? There's one or two others. And then, like, you know, he's had
Ireland caps
full
as well.
international. Like,
Yeah.
where there's lads like, for example, me and others who played the whole way coming through and have done nothing
Yeah.
for one reason or another.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing, but
No, but you know what I'm
I know,
saying.
I
Like,
know
like
what you're
in,
saying,
in terms of having
Yeah.
a real career. So, like, it's all about time, and
lot
how
of
the
factors.
individual
A
is
lot of factors.
in that
yeah.
moment. Like,
Yeah.
Has
yeah.
to be the right timing though as well, you know, and the right upbringing, I suppose, and right support group as well goes a massive way. I think.
100%. It all adds, like, it
Yeah.
all adds, you know. And then you've got genetics. At
Yeah.
16, you know, some players
Yeah.
are nowhere near ready. Like, I always use Ryan O'Kane. Ryan
Yeah.
O'Kane didn't get selected for Dundalk for the academy team at youth 15. I took him to Warrenpoint. 12 months later, he was still no bigger physically.
Yeah.
He makes his first team debut
Yeah,
at 16. You know, a nipper.
Yeah.
Still
That's-
tiny, but had all the tools. Was still tiny.
Just didn't get that growth
Um,
spurt. Yeah.
Was still tiny, even right up to. I took him back to Dundalk. Then he went to Cliftonville from Warrenpoint. I took him back to the academy. We had to promote 2 or 3 players into the first team, under the Italian guys. Ryan within ran amok, got a contract. Albeit he hasn't pulled up trees. He's had a very decent career. He's still young
He's
Yeah.
only
and
21,
has
22, yeah.
still has an unbelievable opportunity potentially of, you know, carving out a career and maybe going across the world, because there's no doubt about his ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has the ability, like, so, you know. So what I'm saying is, him at 15, 14 wasn't deemed ready, but him now is very ready.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So there's that there. You know, the genetics, as I say,
Yeah.
is a massive part, because a lot of people look at that, the physical capacity of the player at that age. You know.
It's an element of luck as well, isn't it? Though all of it, there's an element of luck, and it's say Ryan O'Kane
he didn't ever.
got a trial for something at like 15 and then doesn't do well in it, and then 16 he takes a massive growth spurt, and then that opportunity doesn't come along again. It's just pot luck in some cases, like.
You would,
Yeah, 100%.
you would see though in a lot, like I felt in the Dundalk teams that I was picked on as well. Like a lot of people were picked on size and that, and it's like nearly the coaches think the size and all's there, we can get the football in them, whereas maybe someone like me who wasn't getting picked would be better technically, do you know, that type of way. So I always feel that there is, you know, as you said, even in when you were speaking about Ireland there, about Shane Duffy and John Egan, I'm sure at 16 them boys already, you know, they're 6'4"
Yeah.
or 5, like.
Physical boys. But that's the thing, like, even again, me now with what my coaches had on, I only, when I'm looking at young lads, developing young lads, boys or girls, I only look at ability.
Yeah.
Forget
That's the right way, I think.
everything else is totally irrelevant, because
Spanish teams.
I can put you on a gym program. I can give you a couple of thousand extra calories a week.
Yeah.
We can get you maybe to where you need to get to,
Yeah,
to be physically the best you can be. But ultimately,
it's in the head.
if you can't scan and control a ball in the half turn and play a pass, well, then you're goosed.
Yeah.
That's it, you're goosed. So you can't instill football into an athlete, you know.
You
For
prefer
me,
to instill an athlete into a footballer.
yeah, you know, like, it's, yes, exactly,
But
yeah.
basically.
But then it's
So-
about experience as well, because you mentioned, like, you use Ryan O'Kane as an example. Now he has no experience under his belt of playing for the academy, playing for the first team and stuff like that. So now he could kind of seem ready. Whereas bringing it back to you, you were around the national setup since like 14 years old, and eventually, like, that has helped you massively, because I think what was it, under 18s national team captain, was it? Or
Yeah.
you know, like, so that
Yeah.
experience does help build into that. And I think, as I said, you know, it's no small thing saying, like, you captained under 18 Ireland team. You know, that's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, no, look, I was blessed again. Like once we come through, Vinnie Butler, Sean McCaffrey, who probably had the biggest influence on my
Yeah.
playing and now management career. Sean obviously took us from 17s through to 19s, and at that stage I was hitting a real purple patch.
Yeah, I was going to say,
with
you
the
feel,
national
you
team,
feel
like
you
I'd-
stepped up. It
You
was
played
your...
of the year on under 17s as well.
Yeah,
I
like
read
you
that,
know,
yeah.
I got
Read
player
that
of the
on your
year.
LinkedIn.
I got player of the year for the national team. I captained the national team. I played up in the Euros out in Italy. I played up with Conor Hourihan, who's now
Yeah.
Yeah.
interim manager at Barnsley. We'd Conor Clifford, who had just signed for Chelsea for
Clifford,
£1
yeah.
million.
He
Was
got
that under 19s Euros?
So that would have been 19s. I was obviously a year younger,
it
so
Was in Italy, was it?
yeah. So we that Italy and San Marino.
Oh, cool.
So you had them, the likes of them players, Gav Gunning, Aaron Doran, who carved out real good SPL careers. Conor Henderson, one of the most talented players ever, who broke through briefly at Arsenal, but injuries plagued him.
Clifford was brilliant at Chelsea as well, wasn't he? He got like
He was amazing.
under 21 player of the year or something.
Because at that time, I'll never forget, I played up and Conor was there, and then halfway through the tournament, Conor ended up going for the 21s.
Yeah, the Chelsea.
21s international as well. He went into the 21s on the same camp, and he was some talent.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he was some talent. I don't know what happened. Don't know where it went all. Not
Yeah.
where it went all wrong. Like after Chelsea, he still played for some massive clubs, Leeds,
Yeah.
Had a year at
Portsmouth,
Dundalk.
etc.
Played at Dundalk,
But he
yeah.
ended up coming back here, and geez, I tipped him to have an unbelievable career here. But
Just never took off. Yeah.
like Connor's a year old. I turned 33 this week. Connor's 34-year-old. Like he's still not even.
Yeah.
Should be still playing as
Yeah,
such
yeah.
at a very high level, considering the player that he was. Like,
How good he was.
Is he done there, Sam?
I think he could be playing
Yeah.
Middle Leinster Senior
think-
League potentially, but
Because like he went Dundalk, then did he go to Sligo?
He wasn't.
Pats.
He wasn't.
Pats.
He was in Division 1 like last year. I think the first
yeah,
division.
Patsy was
maybe.
with Bray then for a short period, and then the last I heard,
That's
he
where it was. Bray. That's where I
I think
remember.
he was playing with Lucan.
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 That's
yeah.
our senior league, yeah.
But listen, Connor was unbelievable. What a talent he
Yeah.
was. He was up there.
But then even said like you were captain, like you were part of the. You were obviously hitting a purple patch during that period. So like, do you know everything was just falling into place? You know.
Yeah, like for the in terms of the national team, geez, I had a great 3 years. Like I had a really, really good 3 years. Lots of football, getting to captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the players we rang off earlier.
That's what I
who-
mean. Yeah, that's
who
a
ended
big
up going
thing.
on to have some unbelievable careers.
You,
Well-
can, you can see though from this even wee snippet in this interview why you're captain though. Like see the way you're talking about coming down the key there, and if I train my best and I bring my stuff over, like you're thinking you're coming from Dundalk training or wherever it is, and you're thinking of your key team, your friends, who you obviously from the way you're speaking to me, you just really love football,
Yeah.
but you wanted all them to succeed. So
And that's
like,
it. And even
that's a wee snippet. into
yeah,
you,
and
like,
even right now, like I'm retired now. What, 11 years? Like
it's
and
11, yeah.
like even gone to the coaching capacity, the management capacity. Like all I want is the best environment for the players. Work with the best players we can work with, but
Yeah.
if there's room, you know, for their ceiling to get a little bit higher,
By all
give them
means.
everything. Because for me, football's everything. Like, well, it has been my whole life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it'll probably remain to be everything for me, you know, in terms of how I live my life. But yeah, like I just always wanted the best. Like I was a real midfield player, all rounder.
Hard worker. Yeah.
I wasn't really just a specialist in X, Y, or
Yeah.
Z. I was a bit of everything, talented with both feet, but above all, I was a hard worker.
Hard
and I
worker,
worked
yeah.
my whole off, and
Yeah.
that got me probably more opportunities. Like I remember even getting picked for some of the national league or national team squads and been asked to play out of position, and I'd say no bother.
problem. Yeah.
Left back, right back, midfield, both wings. The only places I didn't play at national team level was centre back and centre forward.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm on the team sheet, head down, what do you want from me? I'll do it.
So Sam, going back as we mentioned, you signed a contract. You're a Celtic player. Do you know where to go from there?
Yeah, look, I suppose obviously we spoke a lot about that kind of pathway,
Getting there,
you
yeah.
know, in and around the national team, stuff like that. Yes, signed for Celtic. Tommy Burns signs
Yeah.
me. I was his last signing before he passed. I was his last
Good honour.
academy recruit, and yeah, Celtic was an unbelievable experience. I would have liked to have done more while I was there, but a lot of things had changed. The academy manager, a number of coaches from when I signed, and that's the bit I think you referenced earlier about luck, a
Yeah.
little bit of luck.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the love that Tommy showed me and the staff that worked under
Right,
him
yeah.
when I actually physically moved there in the June of that summer
Yeah.
of my 16th birthday. And that's the wee bit of luck you need. It was a new academy manager who was left with a glowing report of me, but we just never,
Got
for
along.
whatever reason,
Yeah.
we just never had that love towards one another. And I felt it, being away from home as a 16-year-old, I felt in the back foot early
Very
As
doors.
you would, yeah, of course.
But training every day, unbelievable. Gordon Strachan was the manager at the time, was trying to
Jesus.
force Big Bobo Balde out at the time, and Big Bobo wasn't going anywhere. He was sitting on
Balde.
32k a week,
What a cult hero.
and
Big
he
Bobo,
was
man.
froze out of the first team.
Yeah.
So we'd Big Bobo training with us at the time when I moved. At the time when I
Bobo.
moved there, obviously, you have Barrowfield on the London Road, which is only up from Parkhead. That was the training centre.
Yeah.
But Celtic had this new training centre out in Kirkintilloch called Lennoxtown. It's obviously where they train now. I do believe they still have Barrowfield for the pre-academy.
Bobo's
Yeah.
still there training, is he?
So Big Bobo, as I say, all the first teamers and reserves are up
Yeah.
in Carrington, or not Carrington,
Carrington. Going to
up in
United.
Kirkintilloch and Lennoxtown, and you know, they're at stage one of developing that, so there's just enough to house them. So the U19s and 17s were still in Barrowfield, and Bobo was down training with us in Barrowfield full time.
Yeah.
But what a guy! Like
Oh, yeah?
Again, just going back to application, worked his nuts off every day.
For 32 grand a week, I
First
would.
in, last out. Training with 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that's well, not embarrassing, but a bit of a kick in the face.
He was 32. He'd
Yeah.
had an unbelievable career, and,
Yeah.
and you know, he didn't want to leave the football club because his family was settled, his kids were in school, and obviously he had 2 years of very good money still
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And even like the fact that the club were trying to kick him out, and he wasn't saying like, well, if you're trying to kick me out, I'm not going to try. He was still going, I want to give 100%.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He trained
Like,
like a beast,
you know,
smash people up in
Yeah,
training.
yeah.
Like you go-
16-year-olds.
We used to obviously then.
I'm just thinking of the Colo Torres story.
Yeah,
No, when he
Benga.
smashes. Was it Benga?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he smashes
And like
Benga.
that ever happened with you and
Oh
Bobo?
no, not with me and Bobo, but like in training, like he wasn't going out.
Yeah. and
There's
he-
Callum McGregor. I'm going to tiptoe around him.
Yeah.
Full
Didn't care who
trip.
you were. Yeah, yeah.
And he trained like a beast, and like obviously you train every day. You go for your lunch. We used to obviously go to Parkhead,
yeah.
which is only 2 minutes. We'd get on the academy bus up to Parkhead, and like he'd lead by example. Like you want to see
Yeah.
what he loads his plate with, like proper stuff. So like on the pitch, that appetite was there, even though he was froze out of the
Yeah.
senior team picture. But that made all of us like, he's 32. Like he doesn't need to do what he's doing.
But he's still doing it.
But it took the best out of
Motivation.
everyone around him, and then in the canteen, like watching what he eats was like, oh well, if he's doing that,
I'll do
We
it.
need to
we'll do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Nearly didn't want to let him down in a sense. You know, when you're younger and an older player comes down or a new manager comes down, that's all you want to do is apply yourself.
And I think, yeah, like from a psychological standpoint, I'd say he went in with a mission to have as much, you know, direct impact on as many players, because we would have had maybe 30 training
Yeah.
as a group between, you know, kind of 16 to 19 years of
19,
age.
Yeah.
So that's how broad that age group would have been. I'd say his mentality was, I'm going to have as much of a positive impact on these. Because he could have come down and sacked it off and
Been
turned
a power hole.
around,
Yeah.
and
That's
we
what I
would
mean,
have
it's-
seen that and gone, Charlie, or like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever springs
He's
to
putting the
mind.
feet up,
But
still getting paid. Yeah.
he was unbelievable. First
Yeah.
in, last out, champion. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then like he
That's
kitted
brilliant.
out, like, so Barfield's a wee bit kippy, like, you know, it was a bit rough, and he kitted out the whole place with a proper surround system and all for us, all out of his
Dead.
own
Oh, yeah?
pocket, like,
Yeah.
you know,
fucking
really,
hell,
you
fair
know,
play.
he done little bits like that was just like,
You love to
brilliant,
hear
fair
that,
play.
though,
And then
wouldn't
he
you?
ended up, I think, moving to a couple of months into that, a couple of months down the line to Angers
Mm.
in
in
France.
France.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he moved there. He obviously
Took everyone with him, the sound system and everything.
oh, he left everything in place. But yeah, he was amazing, amazing character, and
And
obviously, you know, if you could call up the train with the Resis are and it was a big day out.
Yeah.
You got to go to Lennoxtown, and that happened a couple of times. So on the Resis are short to draw upon from
yeah.
below, like, and you know, you get the experience being up around the first
Yeah.
team that, well, not more so the reserve team. So you had you had some players that just weren't in the picture. Like Tommy Gravison, for example.
Big Gravison.
Tommy Gravison
Yeah.
came, signed for Celtic from Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yeah.
Had a stinker.
Baldy
Who did I
fella.
seen talking about him the other day?
He's a
Yeah.
One of the
you'll see,
Galacticos was talking about him.
You'll see, like,
He's
honestly,
the worst player you ever seen, but he obviously maybe he wasn't training
Head
on him or
case.
something. Yeah.
head case.
There's been loads of interviews about Tommy
But
Gravison.
he's
I've
not
seen
like a
online
billionaire
recently.
now or
Oh, he
something.
is,
He's
yeah.
in-
I think it's something that like, they're all questioning. Like if you were in a bar fight, who's the first person you want beside you in your team, and they're all like, "Oh, him, Tommy Gravison."
Thomas Gravison. Like I experienced one episode of Tommy Gravison with the reserves. Obviously, he was froze out from
Yeah.
Strachan. Like, and when you walk out of Barrafield, you've got like 2 first team pitches, a stone kind of pathway, and 2 more pitches where the reserves train side by side. And this guy's a proper lunatic. Like, and he used to run out every morning. So the first team would be over here, and Willie McStay was the manager, and Neil Lennon, who was
Yeah.
part of his staff at the time. Obviously,
Yeah.
Lenny went on to be
Manager.
interim and then
And
got
manager,
the first
yeah.
team job. But like Tommy would run out like with his shorts pulled right up, and he'd be screaming over at the first teamers, "Good morning, Gordon!" Like, he'd be giving it loads of Strachan, like, and
Well, Strachan's son is frozen him out.
yeah,
just
like, and
throwing
this
a
guy,
dirty look back.
and like you go from the example of Bobo Balde,
Yeah, to that.
pure
To this
professional, to Gravison, who's
He was coming,
and at
he
the
was coming from
time,
Madrid.
at the time, the reserves played on a Monday night in Airdrie. That was the kind of home stadium, and Fridays they used to get dogged. Like, the players would be proper dogged, and you'd have the weekend off in case you were called in to maybe be part of the first team or
Yeah.
whatever. And Tommy used to just say, "No, I'm not fucking running," and he just storm off, and like that'd be it. "I'm not running. I don't need to run. I'm Tommy Gravison." Like this would be
Yeah.
the mentality, or like small sided games. If he didn't get a decision, he just grabbed the ball and volley it away, and like
Jesus
all this,
Christ.
a proper maniac. Now listen,
Nut job.
he
yeah.
was he was hilarious. Like he was
yeah.
probably one of the funniest players that I've witnessed.
Yeah.
But proper, psychologically
just
something
didn't
proper
care.
wrong there, like but amazing, like
That's great.
So they would have been the two, I suppose,
Poster boys.
compare and contrast, and to,
Yeah.
that were froze out, that we got the opportunity to be
Experience.
around. But yeah, like.
And is that 19, Stevie? Is it?
That would have been like
that
that
just your
19s.
signed
That
under
would have been where
19s,
we
yeah.
would have been training full time. As I say, occasionally you would have been asked to step up
Yeah,
to
to the
fill
first. Oh,
a
was that-
Friday 11v11 with the reserves. So as I
Okay.
say, that was a big day out. If you got that, you were doing okay. Like that happened once or twice, not too often. For myself personally, but others like Jamesy Forrest, Callum McGregor, even Richie Tull.
Yeah.
Me and Richie lived together. Like Richie done well. Like Richie come through his first contract, got another contract, and then got a loan straight out to Hibs under
Yeah.
Pat Fenlon. When he was there.
See, when you said, Sam, as well, that you went over and there was 3, it was Richie Tull, one of them?
No,
players?
Richie would have been
Right.
again. Richie was a year older.
Right, okay.
It was two other lads, Lee Swords and Sean Skelly. I don't think either of them play football, or certainly not at League of Ireland level. They might play
Yeah.
Leinster Senior League or whatever. But they were the 2 lads that I went with from my own age group at the time. But me and Richie, we lived together in a big farm out in East Kilbride, about a half an hour outside the city.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We had a big
Sounds
farm. It
luxurious.
was deadly. They had
Place for them.
the old barn. The old barn was turned into like loads of leather recliners, huge TV,
Ah, deadly.
full size snooker.
The
table.
Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yellowstone,
class. Yeah, it would remind you of something like that. Yeah. It was
Used
out
to
in the
right.
wilderness, like you're out in the back arse of nowhere, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's great.
as I say, when you're going into work at 8 till 4 every day, you were goose when you come home. Like
Yeah.
last thing you wanted to do was do anything,
Yeah.
So
Would they put you through school over there as well?
yeah,
Sam?
we actually done a every Wednesday was your educational day. So based on where your digs were, or based on where
I love how you went like
lived,
that. Just with the
Where
fingers.
do you go in? If
Oh,
you're out in the
we
barn.
went to the East Kilbride, whatever
Educational
college it
day.
was, and
Is that A levels then, is it? Or?
I got no
Whatever it
levels
is.
out of it.
I was going to say, obviously you took it very seriously if you went like this and
Yeah.
go.
Well, like I went, so me and Richie obviously became very good friends.
Yeah.
Both Irish, both living abroad, whatever, playing for Celtic, la la. And what we used to do was go in. I think I signed up to like a joinery course. Just thought something practical, like
Yeah.
in case I don't make it as a footballer, like I could maybe build a box or something.
Bit of Lego or something.
And I think Richie done signed up for a cooking course.
Oh Jesus!
So what we used to do was, college obviously, like every college, you've got maybe 3 floors, all different levels: beauty department, massage department,
Yeah.
practical department, cooking department, whatever. So we used to go in, and like the lecturers hilarious, knew exactly where we were at. We'd go in, sign ourselves in so that when the attendance went to Celtic,
Oh,
the lads were
shut
in.
up,
Yeah.
yeah.
We used to sign in and fuck off upstairs up to the beauty massage department and get all the girls practicing
Sports
Yeah.
massage.
sports massage and all. We
Lovely.
used to go in for a goo obviously and get a rub, like, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how we used to spend our days in college, getting massaged.
Get massage.
Two boys in the full Celtic tracks
Unbelievable.
walking into the college.
Yeah.
But
That's not bad.
yeah, so like we used, well, look, come here. Back then, if I could change it,
You wouldn't.
probably wouldn't. No, I probably would. Like, you know, as I say, it'd be good to have used that time more wisely, because we didn't use it wisely. As I said, we were up
Yeah.
getting massages. But listen, you're only young ones, you know.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
it's a day off. That's the way we looked at it. Wedding's the day off,
Yeah.
so we treat it like a day
Nice
off.
wee midweek, yeah.
You know,
See, going back to when you first signed, obviously it was under 16s level. Did you just go straight at 19s? As soon
yeah.
as you
So
went?
you go straight in. You go straight in 19s. Yeah, so 19s are full time. So the 17s team wasn't full time, but the best players within the 17s were full time. So like Callum McGregor,
Yeah.
full time. I think there was only me, Callum, and 2 more of that age who signed in that summer. One was from Aberdeen, Callum Bagshaw, and actually Matty. What's Matty's second name? Matty's an English lad, centre back. We signed from Stockport. He actually coaches, believe it or not, with Ryan Conray. You know Jim's son Ryan. Jim's son Ryan's
Yeah.
over a college team over in England, and they actually coach together.
Yeah.
So he was asking for me recently,
Yeah.
but
Small
we
world.
were the four in that particular year who were put on to pros. So I come from Ireland, Callum's come from Aberdeen, Matty's come from Stockport, and then Callum was, as I say, the local lads. So we were the 4 that were given full-time deals. So we would have been in training with like for example, Paul Skinner, who's the goalkeeping coach at Chelsea. Skinner was there, and Richie was a year older, for example. So Richie was there. So it was kind of a variety of 16, 17, 18 year olds,
Yeah, all
and
mixed.
borderline 19. And if
Does,
you were 19 training with the 19s, you weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
trouble.
Usually fast track. So
yeah.
there was there was such a mixed bag. But as I said, there was about 30
All in.
players in a pool. So like, if you weren't getting a game with the 19s, well, I always had the
The
home banker of the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Um,
gotcha,
so
yeah.
you had plenty of football in that sense. So that's kind of how they structured it. And then the reserve team was just the reserve team, 20 players or whatever. And then the first team had a huge.
Would you ever be called up? Were you ever called up to the play reserves?
No, never to play, just to train.
Just to train?
Yeah, just to train. As I say, I never got a rub of the green that I needed. And that's
you
low.
get an injury even or
Were you
something,
injury
you know?
somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully I never picked up any serious injuries at that stage. It was pretty much on the pitch every day, just playing 19s, occasionally 17s if there was push down from, say, the reserves to get some minutes with 19s or whatever. It'd have a knock-on effect. So yeah, but generally it was just 17s, 19s is what I would have played. But
And see, Sam, like the way you're saying you came across, there was 4 years that were, kind of full time. Does that cause friction within, or would you have felt any? Or
no, listen,
everyone's
Celtic-
mature enough at that age to.
Celtic are looking for the next best
Yeah.
talent.
Everyone
and
understands that, yeah.
that's the industry. It's,
Yeah, I get you,
cutthroat.
yeah.
yeah, like as I said, even
You probably don't make it that
go
far
back one
if you
step
don't-
further. Like you're a 14-year-old going on trial
Yeah.
to a group that's already settled. Like you go into Man United, there's a group settled there from
Yeah.
probably Manchester and the greater Manchester area. So
Yeah.
you're coming in, as I say, trying to earn a contract.
Paddy.
Basically staking your claim that you're better than them. Subconsciously, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is, I think everyone that plays football is in that industry, unless you're a really, really jealous person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Who
Yeah.
maybe be a bit more sinister. But I think everyone knows if someone's better, they're here to take your place.
Yeah.
That's just the
Absolutely.
reality.
Everyone's
Whether
competing.
whether that is, by the way, playing, coaching, or managing, it's the industry.
Yeah.
It's rotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
but that's
rotten.
what it is. You're
You know, that's
competing
the
against
reality.
each other and
That's what it
competing
is.
with
though.
each other then
Football's
to win.
cutthroat business.
It is. It's
Big
very
time,
look, recent years has taught me that, like, definitely, there's no standard. Like, if you lose a normal job, there's procedures.
Yeah.
Football.
There's
There's
no
verbal,
football.
written, there's, and if it's done wrong, you can take your
Yeah.
employer
Call
to-
and then
Football, there's a clause, that's it.
Yeah.
yeah.
You come in, as I always say, you come in the king's chair and you
Yeah.
get thrown out with your black bags at the end because you're not quite good enough. So that's the industry, and it'll always remain to be that, unfortunately.
So
Yeah.
that's, I was going to say, that's what brought us to you coming back to Ireland.
Yes.
So coming back to Ireland, kind of that experience, what did it bring with you? Do you know?
How did it end at Celtic, like Sam? Or
yeah, it was
is
very
that-
amicable.
is
I
that-
had to make a decision.
What
Yeah.
age are you at this?
18, so I just done.
Oh, you're at 18
just
now.
got past 2 years. I had another
Okay.
year left at Celtic. I'd signed
Yeah.
a 3-year contract, but I felt I was on a roundabout. And I was like, I need to get off
As
here.
you said, you felt
Okay.
like you were,
I was performing unbelievably well for the national team, but I wasn't breaking through at Celtic, and I was just like,
why something.
still to this
yeah.
day, my gut feeling. I usually have a good gut feeling on things very, very early, and I made the decision. I spoke with the national team manager, Sean McCaffrey, and he was like, look, step away. If you like, you'll walk into League of Ireland,
Yeah.
but before you do that, let's maybe look down south in England. So stepped away from Celtic. I went down to Wolves
Yeah.
for a week, spent a week with Wolves, trained with their first team.
Yeah.
Because in Celtic it was different. You had, what way did it work? 15s, 17s, 19s,
Yeah.
reserves. In England, it was the other way. It was 14s, 16s, 18s.
Yeah.
So at Celtic, he got an additional year for development as a professional,
Whereas
Right.
where in
Wolves-
England you didn't.
you're straight in.
So you often hear about these, I got a 1-year scholar and a 1-year pro. At Celtic, you just got a 3-year
3-year.
professional contract.
Yeah.
Bang it out of the park. That's it, done.
Yeah.
Where in England, you had a 1 and a 1 or a 1 and a 2. All depends what they give you.
And
So
you're
by the time I
18.
was going down there, I was no longer a scholar. I was professional.
Yeah.
So it
And
was a
you're
little
18
bit
as
more of
well.
a challenge going into clubs. So it was like, well, you're not going in to train for the academy. You're going in
Yeah.
to try and earn a deal for the senior end of the club.
Yeah.
So like I went to Wolves. They were only up that year under Mick McCarthy. And I
Yeah.
trained with the first team for a week.
Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
Now, system styles, they were only up. Did Ebanks, Blake, Kevin Doyle as their top front two.
Yeah.
They were physical, they were big, they were 4-4-2, they'd bang it on you. And I remember being there. Aaron McCary was there at the time. He had just signed for Monaghan not too long before that. So I actually stayed with Aaron for the week that I was there.
Keeper, isn't he?
Yeah, Aaron McCarthy.
Yeah.
Technically,
Had a year with Dundalk. Yeah, I remember, man.
I wasn't out of place. Very, very comfortable.
Style
Like-
of play.
Passing, Cruyff and lads, doing
Yeah.
things that maybe some of them couldn't do.
Yeah.
Just a
But
system.
physically, like,
Yeah.
they were all big, physical, and I'll never forget the conversation at the end of the week, like with Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to be in with the first team. Maybe reserves obviously would have made sense, but they wanted to know, is he good enough to make an impact? And his words were something along the lines of, if this was 3 years down the line and we are established and we're starting to play more football,
You want to.
no problem. We'd probably be putting something
But,
on the table.
yeah,
but
it's
right
because
now,
they're only up.
you're not going to play in my team.
Most
Yeah.
games they won't be
At least
having
he's very
possession.
honest.
And I
then.
thought that was unbelievable. Like, I was kind of saying to myself, why does Mick McCarthy need to explain that to me? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so that was
Fair play.
that. That was brilliant. And then that was that. Done. Got on a train up to Bolton Wanderers. Owen Coyle was the manager. That was a bit of a mess, to be honest. Went in for a week and
What were Bolton then? Was that
they
championship?
they were still top flight. They
Oh,
were still top,
flight,
hanging
yeah.
on by their fingernails.
yeah.
Like even Campbell's afro.
But they had a
line, don't
midweek, yeah, they had a midweek game, and it was a bit of a disaster. I'd done a bit with the reserves, and there was just your academy and the reserves wasn't really that developed. So I was like, no,
Is this gonna help
I
me?
felt
Yeah.
above I was like, no, I'm kind of above this, and
Yeah.
You've seen the
I
standards
only
already.
got one kind of cool down session with the senior. I just didn't really get a chance to really.
Hit the
Who,
ground
who
running.
was on the seniors? Do you
at
remember
the
anyone?
time, like you would.
I just can't remember who was there
had,
before.
like Kevin Davies.
Yeah,
He
that's
would
what
have
I was
been
thinking,
He would have
yeah.
been the star man.
Was Campbell there? I don't know.
No,
was he
he
just
would have
gone?
been. He would have been before that. Like
JJ Okocha a wee bit before as well. I
they
presume.
would have been all before that, yeah. But that was a wee bit of a mess. And then at that stage, I was
fancy.
kind of going,
Fed up.
right, listen, I've give this a crack. I've listened to Sean. I think I'll go back.
Yeah.
So at that stage, Ian Foster had just left Galway
Hmm.
to take the Dundalk job.
And you didn't fancy like anywhere Scotland or anything like that? Or?
I didn't fancy
No.
really going back to Scotland.
Well,
no,
Celtic
based
are
on-
probably topish there.
Yeah,
you don't really
yeah,
want to.
that was
I
kinda-
get you.
That's
Look,
the
maybe
that's the
in-
pinnacle in Scotland.
Maybe in
really.
hindsight, maybe
Yeah.
heading into Edinburgh to
Alone
one
or
of them
something,
big
yeah.
clubs potentially could have been the way to go. But at that time, like I had no representative, never really had one. Maybe if I had somebody giving me, real solid advice,
Yeah,
I
no
could
doubt.
have potentially looked at that. But yeah,
You
at the
seem to-
time, no, it wasn't more, it wasn't a thing. So
No.
as I said, if anyone was going to get me in somewhere, I thought, well, Jesus, the under-19 international managers of Ireland might open a few doors, which you did.
Yeah.
And I went and obviously showed what I had to offer. But I kind of at that stage said to myself, right, League of Ireland pre-season starts here in 6 weeks or whatever it was.
Give you a proper go.
I'm just going to go back and play 14 football.
Yeah.
And if I'm good enough, I'll get back.
Get back
across the
over.
border.
Yeah.
And that was my mentality. So I came in and I remember initially senior change room, been in there every day. Dundalk were full time, which was great for me. Still getting to train the pitch every day. Obviously the gaffer Fozzie and Darius was his number 2. And it was brilliant. Played with some really, really good players. Year 1 didn't play as often as I thought I would.
No. What year was that now, Sam? Do you remember?
Jesus, years. What do we know? What do we know?
Been 20.
11 years ago, did you say it was?
Well, that's when I
around
retired.
that
No,
time?
you're talking. I would have been
Couple of years
19.
before that.
So
14
12 years ago.
2011,
12,
2010.
13 years
Yeah,
ago.
13
2010.
years.
and
Yeah,
around that.
2010ish, yeah.
So kind of broke in.
Yeah.
Broke in towards the halfway stage, ladder end. Signed another year. Went in and had an unbelievable season.
Yeah.
Had an unbelievable season, and then that was my first experience with a big injury. Stanley Cup final after 3 minutes, blocked the
Remember
shot, fucking ruptured everything in my knee, like
Oh,
destroyed
yeah.
my knee. Yeah, but I did not believe I was on. I remember at that time, Middlesbrough, QPR, and I think Leeds were in Tala Stadium for the cup final because I was still a young lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's only
that's
19.
I'd put a real good dozen games together where I was picking up player of the match.
Yeah.
If not most games, every second game I was quite consistent.
Yeah.
And we were going well with Jason Bourne, Mark Quigley, Gaynor, Daniel Cairns.
Yeah.
It was me and a fella called Dean Bennett keeping Greg Bulger and Wardy out of the midfield. We had a real good team. Colin Hawkins, Michael Hector was on loan from Reading.
Yeah.
Simon Madden
Jamaican
at
fella,
full
yeah.
back. Like we'd a savage side. Really good until injuries kicked in halfway through. We were up around the top.
What was
remember that, yeah.
Ross Gaynor like? It's just I played against him a few times with Keane.
Yeah, he'd look.
Oh my God, serious.
Ross had just typical lefty.
Yeah.
Left back was Nathan Spud.
Yeah, Nate
Spud,
Murphy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Remember that
but
cup
Ross,
final?
Yeah.
Ross, hell of a left foot. But yeah, done me knee, come back in the same season and played the last 3 games and ended up going over to QPR on an assessment.
Oh.
But again, coming back to luck,
Yeah.
if that injury hadn't happened,
You could have been.
Daniel
Before.
Cairns went the same window. So remember the time
He went
the League of
Peterborough or
Ireland
something,
used to have a
didn't he?
squad who would play like Man United.
Yeah,
League
they
of
did.
Ireland
Yeah,
squad.
League of
Yeah,
Ireland
yeah.
squad. Yeah.
So I was lined up for that.
That was class.
Which happens in June. That game happened in June in the mid-season break, which we
That
still
was
have.
in the Viva that
The
game,
Viva.
was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
The great areas.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I was in that squad, and the injury happens.
Yeah.
And I potentially, the same window, Daniel moved to Peterborough.
Peterborough. Yeah, I
You
remember
could have
that.
got your.
I could have been gone on a transfer in the mid-season window, but because I done my knee, luckily enough, come back in the same season. I got a chance to go and prove myself. Where if I didn't get the injury, I was proving myself on the pitch, so it might have
Yeah.
been potentially a straight transfer. That's the bit of luck you need in
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
So everything I'd said when it didn't work at Celtic, I tried everything. I'll go back and play a first team. I'll get a run, back myself.
Yeah, that
Going
was
well.
all on.
It was
You get
going well.
in, you're
Then
getting
you get your
exposure,
injury.
Yeah.
you're
Straight
getting
away.
interest again, and then bang.
Injury.
You know, and that's kind of, that was the stage then where I knew, geez, I'm on a bit of a downward spiral regards football because we'd qualified for Europe, and like I'd always had an issue with my heart, which was been constantly checked. But I remember then obviously coming back with Dundalk, we all had to be screened at the time.
Yeah.
You weren't getting screened in the League of Ireland that regular because we were Europe.
You did.
Yeah, that
We
was
were getting
Europa League.
screened, and I had this big red flag, and it delayed me. Then I couldn't train for a couple of weeks. I had to go and get further investigations, and I just knew, as I said, gut feeling. I always have a good gut feeling. I just knew
that was
looks against me with football.
Yeah.
Like I'm really like I'm not trying to
Yeah.
cry this off.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
No,
just
you're
knew with
talking about it.
injuries and different domino
Wee
effects, I just kind of felt, well, fuck this anyway, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, that there's another story we'll probably get into. But yeah, ultimately it was just knock on after knock on, and then after Dundalk, after that year come back, Fozzie moved on.
Yeah.
He went back to England, and Sean McCaffrey, again you're thinking lovely.
Yeah.
Sean's no longer with the FAI.
Back in, yeah.
Takes the Dundalk job. Your vice captain Shieldsy was given the captaincy. Shieldsy missed a lot of games for injury, so you're captain your hometown club, really young side. We have an absolute shitter of a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinker. Like you just think, lovely, right? Okay, this is the opportunity.
Yeah. You couldn't have asked something better.
I'm after
from-
getting
yeah.
through all that, all the screening, all the red flags with the ticker, knee injuries. Let's park all that. Here's an opportunity
Focus.
to drive this on. The right man that I wanted the wheel.
Everton's fallen.
For me
yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
been a wee bit selfish, but we just had an absolute
Stinker.
stinker of a season.
Yeah.
Like
And do you
a
think?
shocker.
What do you think went wrong? Or
I don't really look. Ultimately, the proof in the pudding. We weren't good enough. We
Yeah.
hadn't got enough good players, and
yeah.
that kind of
Stands out.
stood out over the season. And then Sean lost his job. The club were on their knees financially once again, and
Just to add that in.
Yeah. Swiftly moving on.
it just ended up.
Like we're there, he's painting a picture. You know?
Yeah, it just ended up being a real
we were there.
disaster of a season, and we stayed up through the playoffs.
Yeah.
Obviously,
You ended up saving us in the end,
yeah,
Stevie.
played
Yeah.
a big role in that in terms of
You and someone you met, Mike Rafter, you mentioned him
Mick
earlier on.
Rafter, yeah, Pat Rafter, what a man! He scored a hell of one of the best goals I've witnessed live on a football pitch. He took it in the chest, Matroian down the RSC, lifted it. Player come in and press, lifted it over the head, dragged it, boom, bottom corner. It all happened so very quickly. Quality finish, and we stayed up that season. And
What
Yeah.
did you score in the final?
I
was
scored the equaliser at the home game. We went down to 10 men, and
Yeah.
I was out of the team
Mentality
for
again coming
I was
through,
out
is
of,
it?
I was out of the team for one reason or another, out of squads, shall I say. But I played in the bomb squad the last game of the season with the young lads and
Squad.
and got man the match, and we won 1-0,
That squad was bare bones.
which we didn't
Yeah.
win enough games. So to win a game and man the match, got a place on the bench, and once I think Stephen Maher got a red card just before half time, I came on and got man the match. Obviously
Yeah,
scored
got
the
your
goal
goal.
to bring it back to 2-2,
Yeah.
and the tie is very much alive, and we stay up. And I think that game was the game that hinged on whether Stephen Kenny was going to take the job or not,
Yeah.
because Andy and Paul had gone to approach Stephen Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we're a Premiership team, we'd
Yeah.
love you, because the lads had just taken over for
Darius was the manager at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Af-
Darius,
when
yeah,
Sean
with
left.
Sean,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
yeah.
all of what's happened with Dundalk's history with Kenny just come down to your goal.
Well, I would say it had a part to play. Like, I'd say it definitely had a part to
Like a
play.
domino
if
effect.
Dundalk were in the first division, it's probably not as attractive.
That's true. That's
for
a
someone
great,
like
that's a
Stephen
great
Kenny,
point.
who
Yeah.
had left Derry to go to Rovers, and obviously didn't work at Rovers. So,
Yeah.
he came in, and obviously I signed another contract to stay another
Yeah.
year. And again, bouncing to that with a real energy, understanding that Stephen done what he done with Derry in particular,
Yeah.
with young players that I would have played with, the McElhenney brothers.
Yeah.
Obviously would have played with the lads at national team level. So aware of what he was capable of without overly knowing a huge pile
Yeah.
about him. Obviously it's natural to get excited, and he obviously year one we finished second, got to a semi-final of Cup only to get ripped off up in United Park, 2 sending offs, dodgy refereeing display in the day. And I
Is
don't
that
like
the
that.
Santa Cup? Is it? No.
No, that was the
FAI.
FAI Cup.
FAI
Oh,
Cup.
FA.
So that was
you got
year
to
one.
semi-final.
It was the quarters or the semis. It was deep anyway.
It was the quarters. Who was the
Sorry, just followed Dundalk.
what's the referee's name? It's Clutterbuck or something, is it?
Oh, he had an
I
absolute
forget.
clutterbuck.
Is he a
Yeah.
ref?
Yeah,
Is he
No,
our ref?
There
That
was
fella?
one.
No.
He was a wee baldy fella. He's 2 sending offs. I remember
was
being in
horrendous.
United Park. It was
Horrendous.
desperate. Yeah.
But we had a really good year. I played some really good football. Felt hard done by in a lot of occasions.
Yeah.
Maybe not getting in the team for one reason or another. But
Who are you
Yeah.
competing with here on your
it was myself,
squad?
Stevie O, and Richie Towell. We're trying to think
Like,
who
they're
else.
not-
That's nice.
like-
yeah,
Yeah,
but
no,
they're-
but listen,
to
look-
feel harshly done by them two calibers of players. is
Yeah,
just,
like the
What
thing
they've won,
was, in pre-season I had an unbelievable pre-season.
Yeah,
Came
yeah.
through it without any real injuries, and I'll never forget Stephen pulling me in. I think it was the Thursday before the first game against Rovers,
yeah,
and was like, look, his words were something along the lines of, I didn't think you were going to give me this much of a headache, but I owe it to you to tell you without breaking the team news tomorrow. You're not starting, but you're very much in the picture. And that was good enough for me. I still had the bit between my teeth. Come on in that game. And then whenever there was injuries to Stevie or Richie or suspensions, I'd step in and I'd put in a man in the match display. But if the lads were back, I found myself back out. So I felt hard done by in that sense. But anytime I played, I performed.
So were them two in a pivot with Richie Towell in front of them, and you want to play in any one of them three positions? Is it Stevie?
You had Hoobs, you had Tiernan Mulvanna. Then we're playing the know.
It's just I'd see more as a number a number 8, but they're kind of 2 6-ish players.
Yeah, well, I ended up playing deeper in that team. To be fair, I ended up playing a little bit deeper. And then like John Sullivan, who could step in the middle as well. He played a lot at right back. Yeah, like towards the last few years, I ended up playing the deeper position because technically I was quite comfortable on it and could read the game. So yeah, I felt hard done by, and that year was the one year where I played really, like, since the run into the Satanta Cup, I was back to that level. Yeah. Under Stephen, and I knew when he was having to maybe explain why I wasn't getting in the team, I knew I was in a good place. Yeah. So and then obviously that season came to an end, and I was kind of, that was my last chance. So I've been capped right up to youth 19. I always wanted to get a 21s cap, and I thought that year, I thought the year under Sean would be the year.
Yeah, you thought.
But then I thought, geez, I like what we're putting together here, and I felt an unbelievable place physically, and I thought this might be the year. Yeah. But it never materialised because I never got 10 games in a row. Yeah. If I had got 10 games in a row,
you would have got something.
I'm convinced I would have had it
was hard to get form
call up, and I kind of missed that opportunity because the following year I was over age, and I was kind of saying to myself, right, I really need to now forget about 21s football, forget about going back to England. I need a career in Ireland here.
Yeah, I got you.
And that's when I decided to move to Shelbourne then.
Yeah.
I think that lasted.
So what happens at Dundalk, Stevie, then? So it's just like you just come second in that season, and then in the summer you move on.
That was it. That summer I moved on, So, or that off season, shall I say.
And was that a mutual decision?
No, personal, yeah. But it would have been mutual anyway, but definitely I think Stephen recognised that I'd give him a bit of a headache, and also recognised that I was still young enough to go and develop.
Right, okay.
So, but before we even get into that, I said, look, I'm going to leave.
Oh, all right,
okay. Like, okay.
Yeah, you had the decision.
Makes sense. Yeah. So we never even got into I had made the decision, and I'd made the decision to go and sign for Johnny McDonnell at Shelbourne to go and play, which I did. I went and played.
Was it like, just even before you go on that, Sam, was it a hard decision? Because like I'm imagining here, you come back to Dundalk, you're saying you're vice captain, a lot, very, a lot of pride there doing that for your hometown. Like, was it?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, obviously, you would have loved to have been emulating the likes of a David Crawley, going on and having a real dent in your career at a club where it's your hometown.
And the history of it as well.
Captain in that club, definitely, absolutely. There was a wee bit of, I'm going to have to leave this behind. But I was thinking, go and prove myself and come back.
Yeah, I got you, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Not that I had to prove myself, but go and put a real kind of block of games together, and season after season, being a mainstay, and then come back and see. But I never quite got to that. I only ended up playing for another 7 months.
Yeah.
And then I had to retire in that summer at age 22. So I never obviously got the chance to revisit coming back as a player.
So you go to Shelbourne, just before we touch on obviously the retirement, you go to Shelbourne, playing, enjoying that? Or,
listen, played.
Were they Premier?
No, they just got relegated.
They just got relegated.
So it was like they kind of
a rebuild
in between.
Let's bounce back up.
There usually is that bounce back. Yeah.
We were top right until the halfway point. As I say, I retired, I think, August, so we were only back a couple of games after the mid-season break. I retired in August. I think Longford ended up going on to win the league that year. They had invested heavily. Stephen Rice and Pat O'Sullivan and that had just joined from Rovers. So yeah, I just got pipped to the post in the end, so they did. But as I say, I obviously didn't get to see out the entirety of the season.
That's what they missed, Stevie.
What is it?
That's what they missed.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know, but
yeah,
we definitely didn't probably have enough towards the end. We were well out in front, bit like your typical horse race, well out in front, setting the early pace, but
Couldn't jump the
coming
hurdles.
down the back tree.
So yeah,
Finds nothing.
Head gasket gone.
yeah,
So yeah, but look, as I said, I didn't get to fulfill the entirety of that season due to my own health issues.
bring us
and
to that.
that's-
So like as I said, you're 2-week break. Do you know what I mean? Was it from the start of the season where you started having it, or did it just kind of,
No, still, yeah. Look, no.
Did they pick it up on?
Yeah,
remember you said about
this
the
has been
screening.
picked up. This was picked up a long time ago. I think when I was 17.
Yeah, you
right,
were saying, yeah.
Right, okay.
Which at the time, when I was medically screened for European games with Ireland and even at Celtic and stuff, I had an enlargement on one of the walls of my heart.
Yeah.
And at that time, it made sense because I played football.
Yeah,
They kind of categorized it as athlete's heart, which
Yeah.
is very, very common.
because the
in most
intense
athletes.
heart rate,
Never heard
etc.,
athletes
etc.
talk before.
You're working
Athlete's
hard,
heart.
your heart's
Your heart
pumping,
rate's
it's
intense.
naturally bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
The fine
yeah,
muscle makes sense.
Yeah.
But over time, that muscle grew and grew and grew.
Oh, so that
Okay.
was still getting bigger.
So
right.
how the how the the doctors and stuff would describe things is they categorize things in millimeters.
yeah,
I had grew past the bracket of athlete's heart,
yeah,
and I'd now entered a new stage,
Makes-
hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which
yeah,
which is what I'm now diagnosed with.
Yeah.
Whereas basically the muscle just keeps growing, and what it does is it eventually affects
yeah,
the pump of the heart,
yeah, of course.
which
And then,
puts you into a cardiac arrest.
yeah, too much intense would,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
obviously at that time I was advised to remove any
Any
strain,
intense-
any strenuous exercise.
yeah,
So that's to say, a full-time footballer. I
yeah.
just started out in a little bit of CrossFit and stuff, so it was really strenuous training-wise. Now, physically, I had no issue,
no indications.
no blackouts,
fit.
no dizziness, no episodes, no nothing.
Yeah.
This was just pure, true echo and screening. So,
Yeah.
as I said, lucky, unlucky, but lucky.
Oh yeah, of course, the
Um,
catch. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and look
Yeah,
at
something could have
Health-
this
happened.
just
Like.
health's
developed and
first always.
developed
Yeah,
and
health's first
developed,
always.
obviously I'd go up once a year still to this day up to the Matter private,
Yeah.
and like you'd be
Checking.
fitted with a halter and stuff, and
Yeah,
then I showed a little extended period of like a skip
yeah,
of beats, and that for them straight away was like, right, you're done,
yeah.
your playing days are done, lad. So look,
So were you just pulled in at one point, or you're 7 months in the season with Shelby, and you're pulled in, like you really have to stop playing now? Is
yeah,
that
it
what
was up for
Doctor's
regular
advice.
screening. Like
Yeah.
I think
So it was
to
they were
add
trying
a bit
to
of
manage.
to add a bit of context, like
Yeah.
to that point, there was probably about 18 months prior where they were starting to just question
Okay.
what it was I had, and
Yeah,
they were
Why is it
starting
now?
to maybe just plant a little seed in relation to, like, if this
You
was
might
to
have
get,
to,
and
yeah.
it might,
yeah.
you might have to start considering. So
Yeah.
at that stage, I kind of subconsciously had it in the back of my head that,
Mm.
okay, I might need to pull the plug here
Yeah.
at some point. It won't be my decision. It'll
Be
be
a doctor.
the medicals.
Yeah,
And that came ultimately, and
Tough
yeah,
to take.
look tough. Yeah, 22 years of age,
Yeah.
thinking
yeah,
there's another 10, 12 years here playing,
Definitely.
doing
Yeah.
something I love. Tough, yeah. The initial stage is very tough, but again, my mentality, football's everything I know. I'm not going to go back and do something
I was
that I
going to
don't
say,
enjoy.
yeah,
I'm gonna build a few blocks now.
Yeah, well, look.
Joinery
Well,
course
yeah,
yeah,
again.
that
like
joinery
that.
course might have
Yeah.
kicked in handy, but
Could have been a Mizzis maybe.
yeah, but look, I didn't I didn't hang about too long. Like at that stage, I'd already started to do a wee bit of coaching and doing
Yeah.
little bits down at the Quay here, with the kids and stuff.
And see, in terms of like this now,
Mm.
you're fitted with a
Yeah,
thing. What does that do? Does that
So
shock
it's
you
just-
if it
it's
goes
a-
low
yeah,
or
it's
something? Is
just
it?
an ICD, so it's not a
Yeah.
pacemaker. It's just an internal cardiovascular defibrillator.
There we
So
go.
basically, it's just an internal defib, and
Yeah.
if that old bad boy gets out of hand, I'll get a whack in the chest, and that's really it. Like So there's nothing.
I don't want to laugh, but
There's nothing. No, but it is what it is.
It's probably. It's
No,
probably.
I'm in a better position than you, CC.
yeah, that's a fair
We'll
point.
have to go and
That's a
find a
fair-
machine.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't even think
What
the
did you
machine can
say
save
to me and
me.
Clark's the other night to drink that on the was it the Red Bull?
Oh,
and
Red
something
Bull and
over it?
Lucasade. Yeah, when
Yeah.
we used to go out on sober nights out.
Yeah,
Sure,
he's
better
like
look.
me, and I wonder
Couldn't
what-
do that now. Like,
Oh,
and I
jeez.
wonder why he got fitted with a heart
Yeah.
machine after drinking that.
absolutely. But yeah, like that was tough. But listen, like everything, time's a healer. You get over it.
But you use
Start
that.
thinking about what you're going to
I
do
said
next.
straight away. I said you use that coaching bump straight away.
100%,
Like,
straight into it. I remember going down, coming towards the end of the senior team season with the Quay. Donald Green was over them.
yeah,
They just got relegated from the first division into the second division, so they were on their knees. As I say, I was
Yeah.
already doing a wee bit with some of the kids' teams on a Saturday
Yeah.
morning, and we academy down there. So I put my hand up and said, "Here, do you know what? I'll take the Quay team.
And
Albeit
then-
we're in the second division." And
from that.
I
yeah.
always remember Gary Shevlin coming to me and he was telling me, obviously, you had a meeting with the boys, a plan. I was after stopping playing football. Like, I think I was just 20 odd. I was working in Boyle Sports at the time, you know, all different shifts, so I wasn't arse getting a change or anything like that. And I remember he had a wee, like, it was in a wee poly pocket, you
Yeah.
at the meeting, and like, that just even for a normal first team manager, like down the Quay, that's never done before, and you could tell you were getting something really good together, you know.
yeah, we built, like, we were Division 2 and we started to develop a team for Division 2.
Mm.
No point tiptoeing around it. And through, I think it was OMP or somebody collapsed in the off season,
Yeah.
and because
We
we
got
went
in.
down through a playoff,
You
we
got
were
put
offered
back.
first preference to go back up into the first division. So we said,
Yeah.
let's go for
Good
it.
enough.
Mm.
So we put a squad together, structured, organised. At that stage for me, coaching 22 and a half,
Yeah.
young. Some of the lads were older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the lads were the same age as me. Some of them were my mates. Some of them were younger than me.
Still itching to play.
Still itching to play, but
Yeah.
couldn't play.
Yeah,
So
obviously,
I thought, here, we'll give this a crack.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was the
Yeah.
best thing
I
I've ever
loved
done.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because that's when you find out, like, even albeit it's only grassroots level, senior football, you find out if you get buy-in. You find out if you
If you can
have a bit
yeah.
of influence on players.
Yeah,
You find
yeah.
out, are you actually anyway decent on the pitch? And all I did was, what did I enjoy as a player?
Yeah.
That's all I've done with the lads. Some games, maybe against some of the better teams in the league that year, Mahevnamore and Dundalk or whatever,
Cosmos at that time, wasn't it?
RD, you might set the team up slightly different and give
Yeah.
a wee piece of information. And when you win a game on a piece of information, it brings the group
Yeah.
closer.
Everyone together. Yeah.
So I remember that. I took the Quay team that summer. We were training twice a week. Really, really structured. And yeah, done. I think it was 4 or 5 months in. Caught the bug. That was me. I was all in.
All
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
All in. Loved it. Couldn't get enough of it.
We got
And-
we got promoted in
Yeah, started out in the
up in
UEFA B licence that
Kentstown.
year.
Yeah.
Took the Dundalk Schoolboys League.
Yeah. You
Kennedy
can.
Cup team.
yeah.
So I ended up having the Quay and the Kennedy Cup to feed my coaching buzz
Yeah. Yeah.
midweek, and then we had the games the weekend. We ended
You were
up getting
hooked.
promoted. Obviously,
Yeah.
you had Dundalk who finished second. Mahevnamore were the
Yeah.
champions. They had a
Went
great
top.
team then. They won the league to go back into the Prem. Dundalk went up as a second place team, and we went
Playoff.
third against Kentstown.
You remember that up
Over
there?
there, we
yeah.
got a 52-seater over.
Yeah.
Slabs
Brilliant.
of beer. Down to Kills, we'd food, we'd
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
You
getting
drank-
the memories now every year.
I think we drank for 2 days.
It's great,
And
isn't it, when you win
I didn't
something?
even really drink at the time.
Yeah.
It was great though. Do you remember we were doing the fines and we used to fine boys for, you know, forgetting flip flops, not showering
Yeah,
after
yeah.
game, getting sent off, all that. So I think we'd saved up. It was something like 500 and something quid. So we booked a meal out in Collins for the Christmas for the party. And I remember me, Evan, and Cody McGill were sitting in queues, waiting on a few lads to come. And we ended up doing a 250 quid double. And we were out in Collins, whatever. We were waiting. I'm pretty sure
Who
it was
scored?
Derby
It
or
was the last
QPR.
minute. It was
It
the
was a
last
header by
minute.
someone. And we were all sitting out in Collins. A few of us are in the middle of a game of pool waiting on the meal. There's families all, you know, waiting to get served. Next boy, a man scores last minute. Win like 900 quid. All the boys up going mental with pool queues and
I can
everything.
imagine you. Some
Came
Hallions
back
in
and
that
just threw it
team.
behind the bar and
Unbelievable.
queues. Everyone from the pub was drinking from it. I think
Yeah,
it was
I know,
gone
it's great,
that
yeah.
night, like
Yeah.
900 quid or something.
Unbelievable. Like they're like they're great times. Like
Yeah.
they are great times because, as I say, we got up, we won a Kilmessan Shield.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
The club's 30th year or something like that anniversary, big night out in the Ballymoon. It was a really,
50
really
year,
good
yeah,
time.
that
It
was
was
Good
a
time,
50
yeah.
year. Yeah, it was a really good time considering the first team
Yeah.
We're
After
on-
them
we're on
being
its
in Leinster
knees.
Senior League and all that, because they were always well
Yeah.
established.
well established. But
You couldn't have asked for a perfect introduction to coaching.
it was
Do you know,
unbelievable.
it
it
was
was
just-
unbelievable.
yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And then from
and
that-
as I say, then
You went on to Dundalk.
getting the nice balance then of going back to coach kids as well. So I was trying to see what suited me most.
Difference.
Senior environment where you
or
can
academy. Yeah.
F and blind and get after people, or young lads where you have to be a wee bit more, a wee bit more gentle. Let's be
Arm
honest.
and-
You know what I
arm
mean?
and
You
shoulder
need
kinda.
to coach them.
Yeah.
You need to develop them. So
Yeah.
very much a difference in that sense. So,
Is
but
that
I
Thomas?
love both.
Was that Thomas Daly's team?
Thomas's team. Who else? I'm trying
I'm
to
trying
think.
to think. Like, I'm still not
What a
30
player.
yet. Like, and I'm playing with Thomas, and he's only
Yeah.
under 12s, and you were doing the first team with me coming into it at the
Yeah, so
time. Do you know?
I'm trying to think who else was in that age group from the Key.
Keane McAvoy, and no, maybe he's a year older.
No, I'm not sure. Can't remember having Keane, but yeah, like I remember marrying both of them up, the Key and the Dundalk Schoolboys League, whilst I started out my UEFA B license because
Yeah.
as I said, I'd caught the bug and that
yeah,
was me
you got the itch and you just,
all in.
Yeah.
You're all in with everything, Sam.
Yeah, all
Teams
in.
football first and then this. How'd you
Yeah.
get on in the Kennedy Cup?
We weren't blessed with the most talented group. The lads
Yeah.
organised. I can't even tell you where we finished, to be honest.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
that long ago, but it was a great
We were saying that,
week.
Tom.
It was a great
Yeah.
week.
And from that kind of, where did you continue on? Where to go? Do you
Yeah,
know?
it just snowballed. I think my next move was Warrenpoint.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people up in and around Warrenpoint, and I think they'd caught wind that I think Warrenpoint were just relegated in the last day of the season in the Premiership
Yeah.
to a dubious refereeing decision. And
They're always dubious.
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, oh no, this
Always.
was a stonewall,
Yeah.
absolute, farce. But anyway, they got relegated, got stung, they went down, and as I said, they were looking for new kind of staff. The manager stayed in place, but they were looking for
Yeah.
a new assistant and a new coach. And
Came to you perfectly.
someone just reached out. Someone I knew at
Step
the
in.
club just reached out, and from there I ended up going, you know what, maybe this naturally is the
Progression.
next step. Warrenpoint wouldn't be the biggest football club in the world,
Yeah.
but at that stage they were on the map.
It was
in
something.
regards
Yeah,
Irish
exactly.
League. Okay, they got relegated into the Championship, and
Get your foot in the door somewhere as well.
yeah,
Stevie.
it got me. For me, I was looking at it right 2 nights a week. Lads are getting paid, bit more accountability. Not having daughter going, I'm missing training tonight because I've got the late shift and boys. And you going, I had you down for starting Friday. You're not starting now, you know.
There's a professionalism.
Just a wee,
Can't
just
make Friday either.
you know. And I felt for me like that's where I've only ever been in the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
exactly. Yeah.
I felt okay. It's not Linfield, it's not Shamrock Rovers, it's Warrenpoint. It is professional, but the demands aren't ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll go in and try me arm.
Yeah.
That was my mentality. So year one, I went in. I was the first team coach. Matthew Tipton, who I played with in Dundalk, was brought in as the assistant manager,
Yeah.
and the manager Barry Gray remained. So at the time, we didn't know when he put the staff together that Barry's aim was to step away
Eventually, yeah.
and promote Matthew into the manager's role.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. We won that league at a canter, 18 points, and we won the Mid-Ulster Cup, which would be the equivalent maybe of your Leinster Senior Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good achievement.
So we had a really, really good year. Got the club back up, some talented players. Matthew obviously brought in his own staff. I still remained part of the staff, but I had a bit more of a diluted role. Naturally, that's
Yeah,
fine. No
that's what it
issues.
is, yeah.
I'm still part of the staff. I was still doing bits and pieces, but not as much as I would like. But
Yeah.
I got to build a really good rapport with a lot of the board members.
Within the league, yeah, especially as well. People.
And they obviously doubled down on me then. So I was in with the first team, albeit I wasn't doing a huge pile. And they also give me the role of an academy manager, youth development officer at the football club as well. So I felt I was getting a kick out of that then, because it was the first time I was, since probably the Schoolboys League, and that would have been only 2 nights a week. This was the first time I was getting an opportunity to really delve into the youth
full
side of
time
the
kind
game.
of job. Yeah, yeah.
So I was doing both of them. That was year 2. I started out my UEFA A license that year, and I think 6-7 months into the season, February 19th. I'm going to say February 19th. I had literally just received my UEFA A license.
Yeah.
Upon completion, certified. There you are. 1 week later from that day, Matthew stepped away to take the Portadown job, because Matthew had played at Portadown. They'd been relegated. Huge club, huge fan base, everything else. Obviously, he had
Links
that
to
affiliation.
connects, yeah.
He'd proved himself. He's taken the club up. And I think we were 3 points outside the relegation zone. Got thumped on a Tuesday night away to Glentoran, 5-0 down.
So it was easy.
Or 3-0 down at half time. And after the game, Matthew announces that
He's gone.
he's stepping away. So there was 8 games left. I was like, Jesus, what's going to happen
What's
here?
happening? Yeah, yeah.
So the chairman asked me to step in.
for the rest of the season.
8 games, keep the club up, and the job's yours.
Hard task, not an easy task.
It's
That is
not
it.
an easy task.
We
Straight
won-
in,
we
day
won-
one pressure.
We won 3 in the spin, safe.
Yeah.
I remember
that's
that.
the
I
first
remember that when
three.
you first got the job, Stevie. You ended up safe. I would have been with the 20s with Nuri at the time, and you, I think, yeah, you would have been just got the manager for Match Tips. That was a big story, wasn't it? Match Tips and going
Train-
back to Portadown. Like.
Yeah, it happened sudden.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
happened so
I remember
suddenly.
that.
Yeah, and obviously our results were going that way, and we
Mhm.
were getting pulled into the bottom
Yeah.
too. And
New manager bounce, came in, 3
yeah,
wins on the
come
bench.
in. Like, look, I had the beauty of having all them relationships with the players, and
Yeah,
the thing was then obviously I got to put my ideas across, and at that
Yeah.
stage I'm building a nice little bit of experience, 3.5 years of
yeah,
all different levels and different ages, and
Yeah.
got a second license under my belt, and I kind of felt, you know what, 25, I'm ready for this.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I felt so ready.
yeah,
And that was a nice little piece of history there. The youngest manager
yeah.
in the Irish League, and at that time I was
Yeah.
the youngest in Europe. So it
Yeah.
was really, not that it was nice from a personal standpoint, but to get a job so young, even though it was only an interim period of
Yeah.
8 games,
Yeah.
knowing that, you know, this is in, you know, my control.
Yeah.
If this goes to plan,
Yeah.
I'm getting a gig out of this.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was kind of my mentality then. It was like, right, I have a chance to really kick on here. So, as I say, we stayed up. I signed a 3-year contract.
There's a wee bit of luck there, Stevie, that you didn't maybe get
The
as a
luck I
footballer,
wasn't
you
getting
know.
maybe as a player, I was like, okay,
Mm.
maybe this is what it's meant to be. Maybe I'm meant to be, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
A gaffer.
giving more back this way. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
from a coaching standpoint, developing players, developing teams, you know, and
That's nice.
that's potentially, you know, what that little sign was. And I still believe that's probably what it is till now, like, you know. But yeah, we built our own squad then in the off season. Really good squad. Year one, highest finish in the league,
yeah.
in the club's history, highest points tally, and the furthest in the Irish Cup. We got to the semi-final. We only
Semi-final,
got beaten penalties. Stung from
Yeah.
a big day out in
And
Windsor Park.
that's in your
Penalties
first
as well.
league, yeah.
Yeah, and that's for
Who'd
Warrenpoint.
you play?
Like we got beat by Ballinamallard on a penalty shootout, 5-4 to beat us. We missed
way.
one penalty.
Which one?
Sick as a dog.
Not the last.
I think it was the fourth pen.
Yeah.
But
Wow, that is.
but
sick,
yeah,
man,
like it
isn't
was a real. That would have been a real kind of
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
I had opportunities to leave and go to more established clubs in the league, but
You just had a good feeling with the club.
I just said again, and youth and naivety at the time, not knowing, I was like, you know what, I owe it to these to stick around.
yeah.
Yeah, give it a
They
chance.
give me a job
Yeah.
based on, you know, backing me and everything else. And we, as I say, we had an unbelievable season. But in that season, we lost Army Kerry to Dundalk. We lost Shanna Foster to Cliftonville.
Yeah.
Lorcan Ford was our young star boy. Sold him to Linfield. Simon Kelly retired.
He was still going at that age, was he?
Yeah, he was, and he was key. He was key to what we were doing.
Great
I
man,
lost
Simon.
somebody else. I lost 1 or 2 others, and
You just
yeah,
knew.
that was a big red flag. Like
Yeah.
looking back
Yeah.
now, if
Sell him.
that presented itself again, I probably would have said,
I'm done.
okay, I can't take this any
Yeah.
further,
Yeah.
because the ambitions then within the boardroom and the
Yeah.
club were
Yeah, get higher.
just
higher.
increasing.
Yeah.
The money wasn't increasing, and I'm losing key players that I
Yeah.
can't replace.
Yeah.
So, but again, naivety and everything. Yeah, crack on. We'll go again. I think I lasted 13 games the following season.
Yeah. and
We were
gone.
bottom of the league. We had an almighty injury crisis. Not that you can blame that, but I ended up blooding, I think, 12 academy players.
Jesus.
So that's not ideal.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's not ideal
Not
if you're
ideal,
trying to
no,
stay up in
absolutely
a
not.
top flight league,
Yeah, of
which
course.
is absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up, I think, having 20 months in total as the first team manager, which was an unbelievable experience.
25 as well. Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
so young as well. So having that under my belt was an amazing experience. And then I suppose from there I had a very, very short break, and I ended up going in with the IFA. They have a full-time UEFA residential academy up in Jordanstown. So Jim Magilton,
Yeah.
Jim's 2 nephews played for me at Warrenpoint. I never knew.
Yeah.
I knew of Jim, obviously decorated player, manager. He used to be down in Milltown watching, and I was saying to myself, what's he coming down here watching us for?
Yeah.
He was there regularly, and
It's 2
as I
nephews.
say, later on I found that his 2 nephews were playing for me. So from there, it's just funny how football works.
Yeah.
Down watching us, enjoying our brand, what we're trying to do
Name stuff.
on the smallest budget at the smallest club
Yeah.
in the league, and he offers you a chance to come in and work with the IFA. So I went in and worked as an assistant coach then for the best part of 10 months until COVID struck. So that was, again, really different experience. You're working with all the underage internationals before they go to England.
Yeah.
So it was nearly like flip full circle back to me,
Yeah.
getting ready to go
Yeah,
across the water.
Yeah.
So you're getting an opportunity to have a little part to play. So
Would have been great for them though. You coming from that experience, have been over the water, and even probably at a younger age than they were at then. Like, great insight for them. Like,
yeah, and it was brilliant, like, because obviously they've got 2 big dorms there, big college buildings that's all branded up with the Northern Ireland crest, and
Yeah.
all the players had their names and numbers on the door for the rooms, and you know, they're full time there. They're on the pitch, they're in the gym.
Yeah,
They still go to
professional.
school. Don't get me wrong. They still
Yeah.
went to school. Like, we'd have to stay over as staff. then
same
and stuff.
school
So-
as you.
Yeah, same school as
Into the
me.
massage.
But look, it was really, really good.
I
As
hope
I
you
say-
didn't tell them that we tactic
No,
signing
no,
in and not
no,
going
no,
in.
absolutely not. But yeah, look, COVID then hampered that, and
Mm.
I think when we were starting to come back out of it, Jim then left the IFA,
Yeah.
took the sporting director's role here at Dundalk,
There is history with that one.
and then and then asked me to obviously come in as the academy manager.
Yeah. So that's how the
which
Dundalk
I
transition.
said, you know what, maybe this is my opportunity to go back to Dundalk and
Dundalk.
leave
Yeah.
a proper,
Full circle, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, academy.
proper stamp on things. And that only lasted a year because the whole
Yeah.
ownership changed, and then the new owners didn't see the
Need.
purpose of having a.
Yeah, let's not get into that part. We could go on hours about that
Yeah.
with Dundalk. It was kind of
It was
mess.
mental. It was
Yeah,
mental.
A
it was
little bit hot from that come.
absolutely. It was just a mess. It
Yeah,
was
like
just
we had like
everything changing. Nobody, like, as I said, you even from yourself, from being inside it, it was just, I'd say there was no certainty about what's going to happen.
madness. No, well, we had American owners who were very, very wealthy, and we knew that much. But like, I knew very early on the Italian manager was gone after 5 games.
Yeah,
just I was like, right, okay, and then
It's hard for you, just
where
kind
do you
of
go? Like,
yeah.
like, so I went in with all focus on the academy, full time on the ground. We went 3 nights a week. We signed some good players. We savage.
Yeah,
Probably to this day, we had the best overall coaching staff that's been at the football club from an academy standpoint.
Who's that
There was
consist of?
we had a lot of really young. You're not going to know them, like young qualified coaches. Darren McGarry, Connor Woods, we James Toner. Like these guys are working for Shelbourne, the FEI,
Yeah.
Wexford first team coach. We'd obviously Simon Kelly, Derek Delaney,
Mm.
Yeah.
Cody Goligly.
Yeah.
I had one or two that I had at Warrenpoint in with us.
but yeah, everything was, the whole structure was brilliant. Like,
Unbelievable.
yeah,
We had 3 staff per team,
yeah,
and they were of a really, really, really good level.
Yeah.
And we had a really, really good place. I felt the academy was
going somewhere.
really going somewhere. And the only 2 signings that I made as the academy manager that year was Ryan O'Kane and Big Moyowa.
Yeah,
They were both playing the football away
For-
from Dundalk, and we signed them, and they
Lovely
ended up
man.
getting pro contracts
First team
within
players,
6
yeah.
months. So what I'm saying is the proof was
Is-
there to go, oh, we're actually really building
Mm.
something, and our
And then-
teams were performing.
yeah,
Not unbelievable, not off the charts like Shamrock Rovers Academy or whatever, but they were performing, and players were starting to flourish. You could see it.
yeah,
And I'm convinced another year or two with what we had in place,
would have been different.
we could have a team
That's a shame.
that is homegrown. Not necessarily Dundalk homegrown,
Yeah,
but I
but-
mean homegrown from the academy.
Yeah.
That was a big thing with Dundalk over the few years. The main question was like, why is Ryan O'Kane the only one coming through? Now it's different this year, obviously, but
Yeah.
like years ago when we were going through it, it was like, why is Ryan and Mayowa the only 2?
Yeah,
Do you
be
know,
on
and
something.
you're going to feed into it. Like,
and they didn't. You have to remember, they didn't come through Dundalk Academy.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
Where
yeah,
did
yeah.
you sign them from, Sam? Just
Well,
other
Ryan was
academies?
Ryan
is
was
that?
at Cliftonville and Moyowa was at Bohemians. So
Yeah.
like, you know, any player like most players probably left to go to other clubs
Yeah.
to get developed because
Yeah, that was gone then.
yeah. So like, you know.
So what, did the new owners come in and then after
yeah,
a few
the-
months
the-
the academy,
the
they just
local-
decide not
yeah,
to
the
go with
local
it?
ownership that come in.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Didn't
Like,
see value in that.
You'd only see it now, like the likes, obviously, I know I'm going big here with Lamassia, Barca or whatever, but you only notice the difference within that 5 or 10 years, and then you're sort of streamlining
And that's the
them.
thing. Like I signed a 3-year contract, going to me head.
Your plan.
I want to be. I genuinely, regardless of what comes here, I want to be here for 5 years because I want to be able to say That's my footprint. This is what I've done
I
with the
brought these
academy.
through. Yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
that'd
like
be nice.
I have a friend there who's over the Shelbourne Academy. He's there 5 years, and
he can say,
they went from nothing, and now they're one of the best
yeah,
academies. Now, how many of them are breaking into Damien's first team? Not that many, but could they play in Damien's first team? Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
even squad players, and maybe if you're going to sell them for a wee bit, it's still
100%.
doing something for
A
the
few
club.
of them have been moved on to Bolton, one signed
development
Marcus on.
fees
Yeah.
and all.
Like that's what I'm
massive.
saying.
You know.
That's where you reap the rewards of that stuff.
And then
too.
not even that, you're developing for the game here. Like there's a number of them playing. Like I signed young David Toure who broke through at Chelsea, Glenavon.
Yeah.
He's ripping it up there. They've offered him a new deal. He hasn't signed it yet, but he'll have other options.
Yeah,
So like he was one of many. Bemi Ruby, who's now at Dundalk. He was
Yeah,
the
Ruby,
star
yeah.
boy. He did play a few games under Duffer. So like, you know, you can see the fruits of the labour over time. So we felt after year one,
We're going
Jesus,
somewhere.
we're well ahead here.
Laying the groundworks.
And it was only going to get better. Like we were putting in scouting systems. We were
Yeah.
regionalising where we were looking at players. Things that probably just aren't been done
Yeah,
for one
absolutely.
reason or another.
Yeah.
Still, even
Yeah.
in League of Ireland. But we developed a pre-academy to put in to feed, and that was trying to build connections
Yeah.
initially
From
and make that as
grassroots.
strong as possible in grassroots here.
Yeah.
So that meant trying to build connections with the Schoolboys League.
Yeah.
In return, then trying to infect grassroots clubs. So there was a plan in place.
Yeah.
But we never got to it because
Yeah. New
it was
ownership.
year
and-
2, year 3 down the line, like putting in, for example, a full-time transition year program only for Dundalk players.
Yeah.
The plan was get them in, train them full-time, see how many we can get on first-team contracts.
Yeah.
Again, more homegrown talent. So there was loads of ideas developing the ladies section with Bernard Freeman, which
Yeah.
now has eventually grown a wee bit of legs.
Yeah.
It's got a bit better there from that aspect. So there was so many plans in place, and so much of it had started. But then it was just like carpet was pulled from
Yeah.
under, and that was it.
It
Done.
just shows like internally if a club's not run right, everything can
it
just.
was a mess. Like poor Jim wasn't allowed to do his job. Like, and I'm delighted Jim's doing what he's doing now because a lot of people will have bad words to say about Jim, but Jim is probably one of the most intelligent football guys that I've come
Yeah.
across. You don't play at the clubs he played at, international captain. You don't manage QPR, Ipswich. You don't be involved with Northern Ireland. You don't be the director of the academy in Northern. You don't do them things if you're a puppet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had a crazy American owner that basically tied Jim's hands, and what Jim really wanted to do, he couldn't do. And
Yeah.
again, like that, he only lasted a year also.
And then everything looked like it was all on him, even though.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
it's always going to look. It's
Yeah,
always
absolutely,
somebody has to
absolutely.
point the finger somewhere, and it's
Yeah.
like people forget. Like, you know, the management team was sacked after 5 games.
Yeah, it was crazy.
The
It
sporting
was-
director and the academy manager, we had to step up for 3 months. We managed the team for 12 months.
Yeah.
Or for 12 games.
it was
Yeah.
mad,
Do you know what I mean? So while Simon meant to be focusing on the academy,
it was mental.
Yeah.
I'm in
have to do
coaching
that.
all the lads every morning, busting me balls, and then coming back in the evening with the academy, and then there at the weekends. I was doing 12-hour days. My missus was going to kick me out.
Yeah.
For a
Honest
wee
to God,
thank
she
you.
the black bag's ready.
For a wee thank you, probably.
Yeah,
like, you know.
but you know what I mean. And Jim, as a sporting director, who's meant to be have complete oversight of all the structural things at the football club,
Wasn't allowed to do anything.
couldn't do his job because he had to worry about managing the team. Like, so
Yeah.
crazy, like, you know. And
Mental.
Doesn't seem like the owners were doing much talking around the club to see making
man.
every decision themselves. It sounds like
Yeah.
instead of talking to people, they're
Should
kinda-
have wanted Brian Garton to take throw-ins and everything at you.
yeah, I'm mad how she like. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it was a mess.
Yeah.
And
And then the Dundalk were successful, so you had that little bit of
pressure kind of.
no, not even internally, like, you know.
Entitlement nearly.
Yes,
Yeah.
even
Have to
players,
do-
like
have
even
to do
players,
well.
like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
wanted nothing but the best, and
Mhm.
there was, you know, and that was all falling in a time when the club was in a real bad
Yeah.
way, and you had the protests,
Yeah,
even though there was nobody coming into the grounds.
Yeah.
There was personal attacks on certain people. It was just
Mess.
it was wild. I was like, oh my god, this is like an episode of Coronation Street.
Yeah. That's the best
Honestly.
way to put it. Honestly, it was mental.
Crazy, really, really
You
crazy.
couldn't write it. You couldn't
But
write it.
from a learning standpoint, like, unbelievable. It opens your eyes to the horrible nature of the game, which for me was brilliant because I hadn't really
Yeah, felt
okay,
like
and
that.
I'd experienced been let go from a job for ultimately sitting bottom of the league and poor results.
Yeah.
That's not that frosty. I think we can accept that. That's
Yeah,
the industry. I accept it. I'm going to be sacked loads more times. And that's the nature of the business. I know that. I can accept that. Psychologically, if my head wrapped around it,
Yeah.
it actually doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit, you know, because at the end of the day, I still love football. But that year there, that was brilliant. Like, that was really like learning on the job for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, thrown into the deep end.
Yeah, it was great.
Shows you
And-
probably what a club like Dundalk means to a town and as you say, how sour I can go if things.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, the positives then, like the 3-month period with the first team, like, I'm working with, okay, there might be lower scale national teams, but some international players.
Yeah.
Won trophies.
Ravis,
Yeah,
Jokovskis,
yeah,
last night.
Latvia, left and right back,
See, the likes of that there, you know, you had Shieldsy, club legend, middle of the park, you had Patrick McElhenney,
Yeah,
Duffy,
Yeah.
Hoobs, Daniel Kelly,
Yeah.
Dave McMillan, like, you know, I got the chance to work with
Good
all
players.
these. And again, from a selfish standpoint, showed them how good of a coach I was and
Yeah.
what I knew about the game.
Yeah.
And I got buy-in, and I took great kind of pride from that when I got buy-in from them, because we're talking about levels here. We're talking about coaching the key, getting buy-in as a young coach,
Yeah.
taking your first job, getting buy-in,
Nearly
making
play
an
it.
impact. Now you're climbing another level. Most of these players have played international football or a round of Europa League group stages, and they're giving me buy-in. So from my own development, I was thinking, you know, selfishly, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing something kind of right here.
What's that, first 4 years or something? That's a hell of a
Manic.
first couple, yeah.
Manic, you know what I mean? So
What was that? Straight on the Glenavon then?
no,
The
I
academy.
ended up
Shelbourne.
going to Shelbourne. So I
Shells.
ended up going down, taking over
You
the
weren't listening on my intro that I done 100 times.
yeah,
But
down to Shelbourne.
It's a long time ago.
To take their 19s. So kind of what ended up happening, I ended up taking a coordinator's role of a full-time transition year program in Sport Ireland with DBS International Academy. So I was in Dublin 5 days a week, so doing that role. And as I say, my old assistant at Warrenpoint was now the academy manager at Shelbourne, Colin Barron, and Collie obviously had reached out about the 19s at the end, towards the end of a season, and I went in kind of in the off season. So the season was over, they still trained for a month, so I kind of went in as an introductory period then for 4 weeks and mulled over the logistics of it, you know, up at 6:30, travelling to Dublin, running the course 9 till 3, having to stay in Dublin till the 19th train at 7 o'clock at night, 3 nights a week. Right, there's going to be 3 very long days here.
Yeah.
Can I sacrifice that? But in my head I was thinking, well, it's either that or I've just big gap in my CV and I'm still young and I'm still learning and still developing. I have a big gap and I have to try and explain that going for a job. What would look better? So I just said, you know what?
Try it.
I'm going to bust my balls and do 15-hour days, 3 days a week. I'll just do it. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what's
Why
the
not?
worst that can come from it?
Yeah.
So
You can quit.
I'd done it. Huge commitment on time. Huge commitment on time. Loved it. I didn't even get to see the season out. I think there was maybe 6 games left. The Glenavon job come up. I threw the name in the ring for the crack.
Yeah.
Honestly, didn't think I was going to get it.
Really? Yeah. Did you really
yeah,
apply
because-
thinking you had no chance
because
at
like I was only a UEFA A license holder. I still am only a UEFA A license holder. And to get them jobs at more established clubs, most of them clubs would have a European club license. So to have a European club license, your
You need a
manager
pro
must
license.
have
Yeah.
must be enrolled or must have the pro license.
Pro license, yeah.
So I was like, right, okay,
No
I don't
sense.
have that, but I'm gonna throw my name in the hat anyway. And
And see, throwing your name in the hat, is that send an email to them? Or
yeah, so listen,
Just
open,
an
yeah,
email with your CV?
apply for the gig, whatever. So I said, fuck it, I'll play to the bottom of the league. I was going to myself, Jesus, if they have a brain, they're not getting Europe this year anyway.
Yeah.
They might take a gamble. So
That's exactly what
bang,
happened. Yeah.
I emailed Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, email back from the chairman. We'll come to the Ballymac on Sunday to meet you. So I had to tell fucking Collie, listen, I can't. I think we were playing Cove or something. I can't go to Cove.
Yeah.
I've got a job interview here for the Glenavon gig. I have to take it, like. So I took it and sat out with the chairman and the vice chairman at the time. 2 hours. They offered the job to me there and then.
There
We
and then.
interview, was it like? or just
Interview,
a-
yeah,
chat-
basically.
Chat probably more, right?
They knew of me from Warrenpoint.
Yeah.
They were at a pretty much a stage where they had a manager for 12 years who was massively successful. It ended. But they were they were looking for a very different style of manager, different style of
Fresh
play,
approach, kind of.
different style of recruitment,
Yeah.
and they felt that I ticked a lot of them boxes from my one previous role that they're aware of.
Yeah.
Obviously, they see your CV and they see that, oh, he's been at Dundalk, he's done this or that or the other. But
We chat.
ultimately, regards first team football, they looked at the Warrenpoint kind of case study as the reason to have a chat. So it went really well. I think offered a job that week. They were like, look, midweek we'll be back in touch. Midweek came and I was like, right, what's happening here? Like, you know. Anyway, back
Itching
in
in the
touch.
house.
Freaking out.
They asked me to attend, I think, the Crusaders game away with the view to meeting them afterwards to get everything done to start the following week. So
Is that a box job? You're up in the box watching
no,
that
no,
game?
I just
or
sat in
is
the
that-
stand. Yeah,
Yeah.
just sat in the stand and took the game in, and afterwards went to the chairman's house. You know, as the vice chairman and the secretary there, and everything we'd negotiate, get all that logistics out of the way, and started that Monday then on the job with Glenavon, and was there for 15 months.
Yeah.
So we were bottom. The only aim was to keep the
Survival.
club up.
Survival.
Yeah.
I think we'd flipped that full circle in the first 10 weeks.
Yeah.
First 4 games, very, very difficult. We lost all 4. Then we won 5 or 6 in a row. I got manager of the month in November. Everything was rosy in the garden. We're trucking on. We had a good January window. At one point, we were 1 game short of breaking into the top 6, which would give you a chance to potentially go for a European spot, even though if that had happened, it would have been touch and go because I hadn't got
No
the
pro
license.
Yeah.
There was
Right,
no
yeah.
pro license coming up
Yeah.
this time last year
Mhm.
because they only run them every 2 years. So there was that whole, we might have to employ a new manager and me take it back, like
Dundalk
basically
job.
what Larne have
Basically
done and
what-
Dundalk have
With
done.
the dog done. Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
obviously then we didn't get into
Get
the
in
top
Europe.
6. There's still a chance through the 7th place, but time we got to the split, you know, we'd got to a semi-final of the cup, got beat 1-0 by Portadown. That was a sickener. Because I felt that was a real turning point
Yeah.
in that season with the squad we inherited.
Yeah. You could have pushed on.
Done really well. We got to that period, got beat 1-0, scabby penalty. And
Not a dubious one, was it?
no, it was a penalty,
Yeah.
yeah. And lost that, and then that took us in to the latter stage of the season. Got to the split, had an absolute fucking Reggie blinker.
Yeah.
We were shocking.
How long? Yeah.
So we didn't get 7, so we didn't even need to have that conversation about if we get the Europe or if we get the
Didn't need to
chance.
know about the license.
So that
then.
was year 1, as I said.
You come in obviously to the job there. You lose your first 4. I always look at you like you're confident in your, ability, all that sort of stuff. Lose first 4. What are you thinking? It's not gonna
No,
work.
it's probably a bit like what United fans are seeing with the new manager
Ruben.
there. Like we went full circle on the whole style system requirements.
So it's
playing
that-
our team
Yeah.
in comparison to the previous manager,
Right, I
and we
gotcha.
knew all the players didn't fit what we were trying to achieve, but we done it anyway.
Yeah.
It was kind of short-term pain.
And then
Yeah.
once
Or
you
long-term
said
gain.
you had a good
So-
January window, got players in the suit system.
Couple of players in, and then we added to that in the summer. We put together a hell of a panel for this season. Ultimately, I got sacked while third
Yeah.
from bottom.
Yeah.
Glenavon are still third from bottom.
Yeah. There's no.
Don't know
Yeah.
We
about
just
them.
hadn't hit a purple patch with the players yet. Games we should have won, we drew.
Yeah.
Missed penalties or whatever the case may be in 1 or 2 games. I know stung us from a few points.
Small things like.
But marginal stuff
Yeah.
and listen, we're very convinced that if we had been still there,
Could have got
we
something.
would have kicked on because we would have got another window.
Yeah.
But listen, like as I said, the board of directors that employed me, they stepped down there in the off season gone. So another red
It's
flag,
always changed.
another red flag moment for me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I should have probably gone.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of change here, different shift in thought and mindset to
Yeah.
where the club should be, versus reality. And again, it's another learning experience for me. That's maybe where you need to step away.
Yeah.
Again, I stayed on because I knew, right, I'm well down the road here with a half a dozen players that we're signing
Yeah.
that I knew would give us something on the pitch. But at board level, they just weren't willing to be patient enough. And that's fine.
Football,
I
yes.
accept it. That's football. It changes. And that changed. And that was another moment of change. And it was like, right, okay. I knew straight away once it happened, this is going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it proved that way. I wasn't wrong. And as I say, where we left them to where they are, they're in
Yeah.
the same place. So nothing's really happened.
And even now, as I said, after you've left them, instead of kind of going for another, as you said, academy or coaching job, etc. Like, where did it come from your idea of what you're doing now?
Yeah, look, I suppose I had the chance to experience a role delivering a transition year course full time
Yeah.
for young aspiring footballers, and as I say, having that little flavour of working within youth development from
Yeah.
1 or 2 periods so far, over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I felt, there's an opportunity to do something here in this region.
Yeah. It was lacking something for that kind of
Yeah, so the idea came along to develop something that's already developed around the country. This isn't like
you're new to the scene or anything.
Yeah,
It's
we're not
like
new to the
late
game
the
here.
party,
It's just new to the area.
Yeah.
As I say, there's probably about 10 of these programs now been run around the country, and with the insecurity of football, you're in and you're out, and you're in, you're out, and you're up and you're down in terms of jobs. Like, football's my only source of employment. I don't spark, I don't plaster walls, I don't do anything like that.
Joinery,
I don't do joinery because I didn't
He hasn't tried
educate
it.
myself.
He hasn't tried it yet.
But so with the insecurity of football, the way it's designed, you want to try and nail down something a wee bit more permanent. So I wanted to try and bring this idea to Dundalk. To Dundalk region, the northeast region, because it's not here.
Yeah, of course.
That's the first thing, and I felt I was the right person to maybe launch it because of experience in it. But also, I want to try and develop something for myself then, you know what I mean? That I know, okay, football's brilliant, all that first team football, etc. is brilliant, but this is my work. I go to work every day, I coach kids, and this is what I do. So I wanted to have that aspect of my life in place, and that's what I'm trying to do. Whilst, as I say, the main thing is developing young players in the region. That's obviously the main idea behind it.
So that's exactly kind of what it is. The people that might not know, it's, as you said, you touched on it earlier, it's transition kind of full-time glimpse into what it'd be like, whereas as in like training, nutrition, etc.
Yeah, so we would be building a lot of obviously pitch content every day, gym content every day, education, sports psychology, sports nutrition, anatomy, maybe some coaching badges in there, lots of sport. And so what you're trying to do is give people a flavour of what you potentially could expect. If you were lucky enough to climb levels and
build
maybe
on that
whatever,
building.
go across the water or whatever the case may be. So that's what we're trying to bring to the area. And
it's a great idea, because like if you've talked to anybody throughout Dundalk over the years, you're like, the amount of great talent that's fallen through the cracks, whether that's because of lack of resources, lack of knowledge, etc. And like what you're bringing into it kind of would give somebody at that age, because it's a crucial age, do you know what I mean?
Huge.
So if they have the ability, they can see what's ahead of them,
what's expected,
I can put the foot down. Jeez, if this is all ahead of me, I'm loving this. Do you know? So give them that extra motivation to go. Do you know?
But imagine 100%. In TY when we had that there,
that's what I mean.
That course, like that would have been something.
A lot of players, because of that, fell through the cracks.
Say you'd have boys wouldn't be able to get into it. You know what I mean? You'd want that much people in it. But I heard you the few dodgy boys doing the gym sessions.
Yeah, we've a few lads in the quad.
Let's give Dan and Casey there. We shout out from Power.
No, look, that's what I'm saying. It's not just about me and obviously Paddy Gollagly. It's not just about us.
Yeah,
we're going to be on the field coaches, but like we've Peter Cherry coming in to specialise with the keepers. We've Dan and Aaron to come and specialise in the gym. We've got educators, Dean McCabe coming in, mindset coach, to work on the sports side. So we've got people with knowledge in their department coming in and giving input to the player. So the player's going to be receiving from, as I said, when I was a player here, I had the
different contact
program at Dundalk, I had the school. Many people have an input. So what we're trying to do is bring as many high level people to give high level input. So that
it'll bring the rest
students are sponging from everywhere.
And absolutely.
You're hoping that in 15, 20 years time,
they
might be on a podcast speaking about their experience. And that's what you're trying to bring, an experience, because that's all it is. Every life moment is just an experience. So that's all we're trying to do is bring an awareness to specifically football and development and
like maybe Sam just explain to viewer, I don't know, maybe a few of the viewers are potentially thinking about putting their kids in. Is it just an email you send off, or what way do you apply through it? Or?
We're quite active there on socials and obviously Instagram. Our website and stuff. So like anybody who has been interested has reached out or come and attend one of our information evenings where they get everything they need. And we just kind of go from there. Like like we are aiming for quality over quantity. Like we are only looking at 24 students on this course, so it's not going to be literally for everybody, because
Yeah.
it can't be for everybody, because
You won't
as I
get
said,
that quality then.
we want to really
Leave a
make the
footprint.
experience unbelievable and make
Yeah.
that direct impact, where if we dilute that quality to 48,
Can't give much information.
you can't get what you need
Yeah.
to get to. So
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's great experience, and that's very insightful as well, Sam. So obviously appreciate you coming down. Again, best of luck in the UEFA, the pro license, is it? Yeah, I'm sure you'll smash it, and
Thanks very much, Stevie.
all good.
A superstar.